the length of an aerial in a radio. As you turn the dial, basically the length of the aerial is changing so that a wave band that's coming in, it's able to pick up exactly that wave band. Well, that's what the hand is doing over here to the brain.
When you're in that mood, are you thinking in a syntax?
Yes, you more than likely are constructing something. You're putting together something with words, and you're actually putting it together. If it was over here, like this with my eyes level and my hand out over here, or my eyes more or less straight ahead and my hand over here, alright? More or less this quadrant here is auditory memory.
Does this be like where you're telling a story that you've already told before?
Yes. Right. History, your history, your ability to put to language something that's involved, from history, from your past. All of this is over here. So what is over here? That.
Past history.
Yes, and memory. So give us an example of that.
Is that what you remember over here?
Yeah, like what?
What you heard?
What you had heard before. What you'd heard yourself saying.
Exactly.
What you'd heard somebody else say. Possibly something that you had read.
I'm sure that's why I'm saying that.
Yes.
Yeah, when we hear music that we've heard many times, this is the...
Yes.
Okay. Now I have a question for you or Johnny. Have you ever observed people who make a living as psychics or who are giving trance information?
Absolutely.
Now, have you noticed that they come either from their memory where they're rehearsing something, or is it visual or auditory construct when they're in, or is there no?
Most of these people who are channeling, you'll notice that they've got direct tap to their right hemisphere, and they're processing from the gestalt. They look at the way that you come into the room. They lay some cards out. They look and see how you relate to these cards. Somebody's flipping through the cards and a card comes out. Maybe it's the Fool. Maybe it's death, transformation, whatever it is. They're looking to see how you relate to those cards, and they know instantly.
They are determining what you think of yourself.
Yeah, they're reading you very much. Most of these people you'll notice actually, like for instance, what is this fellow who's on a tape? Lazarus. Right now, when Lazarus goes into the channel, you'll see really that you'll actually see him come into that aspect of his body. Matter of fact, his head contracts to the left a little bit, and you can see him, and even muscles on this side of the face start to twitch a little bit as he really shifts into this aspect of his brain to be able to completely tap into universal intelligence.
I remember during Watergate, when Nixon would get on TV, and somebody asked him a question about what has actually happened here in the past, and he'd kind of go over here to memory, auditory memory, and then he'd go like this, and he's really shifted his eyes quite a bit, and he'd shift his eyes from side to side in auditory range. So there might be something happening like going back to remember what really happened and going into construction to create what it is that he's going to say really happened. And just making a shift.
That's how we get the word shifty.
Shift the eyes. People that there's something about trust with that.
So what about shiftiness? What is that? What's going on?
Accessing.
Trying to match the past of the future.
Yes, and this is right. I'll just share something with you so that you're aware of it in your body and with others. When you are seeing a lot of accessing cues, a person's everywhere, I'm going to exaggerate, right? They're talking to you and you see them kind of doing this. I'm really exaggerating, okay? It's subtle. You can know the person's really dissociated because the frequency of accessing cues, when the frequency of accessing cues is minimized, this person is much more in an integrated state. And as we become adults, we really learn how to concentrate. And before this time, you'll notice that Andy, for instance, he's aware of everything outside. He's aware of everything. Because he's like all over the place. If he went to the restaurant or something, he would know what music had just been played, because he's all over the place, more or less. And as we become adults, we slowly learn how to tune in and focus in on something. And you'll notice more or less when someone truly is focused on something, there's very few shifts occur at all. So what happens between the pilot of an aircraft and the co-pilot when they're taking off? About blue crate. Anybody know? What would you imagine? The difference between the co-pilot and the pilot as far as blue crate and taking off?
How is blink rate would go down now?
Yes. And what about the two, the co-pilot and the pilot? What would be the difference between the two? Well, yes, okay. Not so much the co-pilot speeds up, but the difference, the major responsibility for getting the aircraft off the ground is the pilot. And so you'll notice that the blink rate of the pilot is much smaller and fewer than the co-pilot because of that responsibility. They do stress. Yes. You'll notice that when you're with others and you ask them a question, the minute that the person gets the question, often then you'll see a blink. But if you're talking to somebody and you notice, especially if you ask them something and then you can see that they're kind of blinking, right? This is an indication of dissociation, because it's actually dissociating. So anyway, the one thing here that, as we go on, Johnny's going to go on, is that these accessing cues are there when the person's in an associated state. And it's possible that somebody could be doing something else if they're dissociated. I've never seen anybody access information differently when they're in an associated state. If you bring them into the present tense, that they're in an integrated associated state. I've never seen anybody access differently. Everybody has their heart on their left side. Everybody has their liver on their right side. Everybody has their spleen on their left side. And everybody's left hemisphere is much more connected to the base of the brain than the right hemisphere. The posterior horizontal ramus, which is a fold of tissue, is much higher up on the left side, indicating a greater amount of tissue connecting the front and the back of the brain with the left hemisphere. The opposite is never true in all of anatomical studies. There's gross anatomical asymmetries between both hemispheres, and this form follows function. So you're going to get some of this information when you read the vestibular paper, and over the next month, that's going to be one of your reading assignments, that you read through that vestibular paper and that you become familiar with the vestibular paper. If you do this, you'll be understanding what creates, throughout psych, what creates a condition where the immune system is lowered, what creates a condition, in fact, where there is a possibility of a tumour being created as a result of what's occurring in the psych. So that's a very good idea to make sure that you read this paper and that you read it a few times.
Is it a tumor?
That's quite all right.
So that's what creates a condition, in fact, where there is a possibility of a tumour being created.
Oh my God.
As a result of what's occurring in the psych. So that's a very good idea to make sure that you read this paper and that you read it a few times.
That's quite all right. So we can think of eye movements or full body movements as a way to help our brain process.
You're talking about internal balance. Is that necessarily the person without listening to you when you're talking to them?
They could be listening to you with part of their neurology. to the extent that they're, say, 50% talking to themselves inside, they would have maybe the other 50% of their auditory neurology available to hear what you're saying. And to the extent that they're involved in internal dialogue, that part is dissociated from external dialogue.
In other words, the more that I would see something out there in front of me, right in my mind, the more space that would be taken away from the neurology that would be actually used to see something externally. Internal neurology, internal endogenous activity at certain levels of our neurology compete for exogenous activity. So if I've got something occurring in my brain in the auditory system and I'm hearing that, and I might not be aware of it, but that's going on inside my brain, then there's that much neurology which is not available for actual hearing of something on the outside.
As a whole brain person, you have the ability to process 3 or 4 things at one time.
We can process we can process 7 or 8. We can process. You can be aware of a multitude of things.
And be efficient. Yeah.
It's possible, yes. However, you'll notice that if the person is occupying, like if I were talking away and you were listening to this, okay, and that you were listening, and what I saw was this foot going like this. This is the pace that the foot is going, is the pace at which I'm occupying internal dialogue, because something is making this foot go like this, and it's the neurology which is wired to internal dialogue. Now I might not be aware of what it is that I'm saying. Maybe I'm humming a tune at that level. The main thing is that when this foot is going, I will be listening. Part of my neurology would not be available for crossing threshold.
Barry?
So I would have the information for recall.
Hi, Barry.
I would have the information through association. So this is a hypnotic technique somewhat too. So that sometimes, in fact, there is a distraction occurring. And the distraction's occurring because then you are saying something whilst the distraction's occurring. The information's going in, so the person doesn't have the ability to recall it. Actually, oh yes, and then they have the ability to recall. But through association, like if I went back and said, can you remember what you're saying? And then I'd tell them what I said, and I'll say, oh yes, of course, that's right. Now that memory is through association. That's our strongest memory, by the way. And the person, because they heard the information in a dissociated state, it's possible that they don't have the information in an associated state. To be able to recall the information, you're in need of being in an associated state somewhat. The more that you can do that, the more likely it is, in fact, that you'll easily just have recall for it.
What is the internal dialogue mean? Are we really talking about
Sure, we really actually talk to ourselves inside. If you listen, if you're driving down the road in your car, and all of a sudden you notice that you're having this conversation, you're thinking. There's actually an auditory component. You can hear it.
Share with Bruce what it was that what you've experienced in your life, and what has happened, and how you've come through all of this.
I take a lot of walks outside at night, and I notice myself saying, aha, and then I say something to myself. Actually, when I'm alone outside, I say it out loud to myself. And when I'm with other people, I would say the same thing to myself inside. If I think of what am I going to do tomorrow, I actually say that sentence to myself inside, and then I say the answer, and then I say the next answer, and I'm aware of the words being formed and being perceived.
How does that differ from auditory instruction?
I'm going to let you answer that, because I was about to ask you.
I mean, the subject object thing.
Okay. One is internal and one is much more involving external. Auditory construct is involving the expression of something, the actual expression of something, which is much more involving the left hemisphere, whereas internal dialogue is involving the right hemisphere more, a matrix of the left and right hemisphere more, where what's occurring is there's an internal loop occurring in the person's neurology. And where, for instance, what was happening to Johnny and what is happening to everybody, you become aware of this. And the scientists through the ages, this is the one thing that they would have you do to try to regulate your internal dialogue. And then they would say this is the quickest way to talk. What was happening to John and what happens to everybody, somebody's looking around and everything they look at, they're noticing, they're hearing themselves inside saying, tree, fan, or if the person gets up, actually what enables the person to get up is that they've said something. In fact, most of these, if a person loses language function, sometimes this is a great deficit in their behaviour because what was creating the behaviour was the person was giving themselves commands inside. Not that sometimes you're aware of this and there's a way to become aware that there's a possibility of it being there. So one day, some years ago, we were driving in the car and Johnny said to me, well, I mean, when you look at that sign, don't you say sign, don't you say building, don't you say trees, right? And what was happening is John's eyes shifted around. He was full of internal dialogue, and the internal dialogue was commenting on everything that he saw.
So what is the usefulness of being aware of internal dialogue?
Okay, so the usefulness of it is, first of all, that if you're coaching yourself positively, and what is being said is something which is meaningful and something that you can use, then I think that's excellent. And I think for the most part, internal dialogue is words which are being censored often. So that when you're with somebody and that you have an internal dialogue to yourself, is this something that you can share with the person that you're with? Then I would say go ahead and share it, actually, and shape it.
With internal dialogue, you can repattern your behavior patterns.
Internal dialogue is sometimes what it is that's creating this person to do various things. The main thing is that you will notice that somebody like this is much more kind of going and functioning from a language, from a digital mode, more sequencing things rather than sometimes seeing the big picture. This kind of person is easy to get lost in the woods, because their focus is coming in like that rather than being out wide and kind of thinking of the big picture of where they've been or whatever. It's like when somebody gets inebriated with alcohol. What the alcohol does is it anesthetizes the right hemisphere.
That is called a dino-melon.
So the person doesn't have the ability to...
It's not organic, don't judge.
Sequence things like that. Because it's what's...
It was advertised as a dino-melon.
Sequence without the whole. Anyway,
But
the main thing is that internal dialogue is really often what messes someone's ability to be able to speak.
got a different name apparently on the label.
Because what they're doing is something else is happening whilst they're in an ability to be expressive. If you're in a mode in your brain that's involving introspection, which is internal dialogue,
It says
and you're trying to be an expressive,
Guatemala.
it's like trying to do two things that are competing with each other. And you'll notice that when this occurs, there's more of a chopped upness. You'll notice that there's a loss of a sequencing ability. And
Still in New York, though.
Even you start to lose your train.
Tomorrow I'm going to the Bronx.
Anyway, it's possible to be anywhere, Bruce, and be able to completely have whole brain functioning. The main thing is simply that this is the major highway over here to introspection. And there's many wonderful things down this highway. And also one of the things down this highway is inhibition. And also aversion. And many other wonderful things too. But the main thing is this is the major highway to introspection. And down over here, this is the major highway to expression.
So you said that really good students were usually audio, visual, maybe kinesthetic. They were audio, visual. And what I got out of that was that they would read the material then see the material. And then now that to me is is that a form of maybe positive internal dialogue in terms of practicing the lesson or memorizing something?
Okay, so now the one thing here is that there is a way to look at what somebody is doing as they study, to see how streamlined their strategy is, because some people's strategies for studying is very complex, and there's a way to shorten what it is that occurs, so there's much more of a streamlined approach. Now it really depends on what you're studying. If you were studying a legal question, it's possible that the strategy that you cited would be an okay strategy for that. But if the strategy involved figuring out something that someone had said in the family, then I would say the strategy is not very effective. Because it would be important that this person was able to process what was said first through their feeling. And then what they would say, what they would hear first would come through their feeling. And then they would be using their eyes. If someone was sharing this, they would be using their eyes to exit. So that's a much more effective strategy than it would be for someone to be using auditory, visual, and then kinesthetic. And this strategy, kinesthetic, auditory, visual.
Do they grow melon on the Bronx? They sell it.
As effective, if you were studying a legal question, perhaps. Especially memorizing the legal question. It may be, you'd be maybe better off using a strategy like the one you cited, auditory, visual, kinesthetic. The main thing is that access whole brain functioning, you're having a preference for how you're feeling. Even if you are using this other strategy, you're still having a preference for how you're feeling.
So would that be a trying to set it up in terms of you feel good about what you're studying, or you're enthusiastic about it? So that's where the feeling sets the primary concept.
So what happens if you're studying statistics and it's absolutely boring? What do you do? What would you recommend? Yes, maybe to help relieve
Cha-ching.
something. Okay, if you were practitioners, what would you advise this person?
I shipped the package in advance. So I would say
Person studying statistics, and it's just like
I'll look for a bus on Monday-ish. Monday-ish.
To get where they need to go or something.
But I'm gonna stop also in Boston.
Yes. Yes, excellent. So D is saying, first of all,
Adolfo.
be real helpful if they want to bring to this side. Then absolutely is going to be helpful, right? Because this is involving the ability to sequence, which is absolutely important in counting. So it would be important that the person shifted the material out to this side, and a gifted person is naturally doing that. Gifted children at school just naturally are taking the material to the aspect of the brain, in fact, which is quite involved. Okay, what else would you do now? This person is not interested. Come on.
Try to get them to understand the brain, like give them a music or
Okay, so why would you be doing that actually? What would be the point of some light music that doesn't have any digital component to it, but that's like more right brain, like the music we've been playing here? Yes. Okay, now you were practitioners of whole brain functioning, alright? And someone came to you.
Look at this, a double.
And said that, I'm studying statistics at the moment. Is there something that you can do to help me? Then you would say, well, is this something that you're interested in? And the person says, no, I really can't. So that's the first thing that you help them with. How can you become interested in this? How can you trick
Sammy,
yourself?
there's no way you think that you can teach me how to cook, bro.
And so there's some strategies.
I know you're married, bro. You do not cook as much as I do.
That really brain processes that will enable.
You might as well give me jujitsu advice, brother.
Okay, so sometimes, for instance, that what I'll do is I'll look.
There's no way you think you could tell me how to cook. Sorry.
Coefficient on the board with this massive formula.
Just say hi.
And
Stop trying to cause trouble, bro.
frightening to see all these symbols and
What are you-
and how
you saying?
memorize how this equation was worked out. And
There's no way you think that you're telling me something about cooking.
24/7.
Why don't you tell me to put the kimono on and practice jujitsu, huh?
It's the toes even down below.
Mr. Fucking pajama wrestler? Huh? You gonna teach me how to do jujitsu after you teach me how to cook? Or you gonna teach me how to cook after you teach me how to do jujitsu? Come on, man.
cannot motivate somebody to
I'll
do
put
it.
you on a cutting board, bro.
You know, the following,
Take you to pieces.
you know, maybe not
Pieces, Sammy.
truly to motivate
Pieces.
the person. So you can have this person move, like you can dangle a carrot in front of them, or you can give them a kick from behind, right, to create movement. Okay, but
I'm gonna lift you up.
there's not an intrinsic
Dump you.
generator person. So then somehow or other there's a way to build some component in. That's where the person's feeling that they have the ability to grow. Then you are really taking care of the people that work for you. And whatever it is that's feasible. So in the things that I'm creating in my life, I'm creating jobs. People actually.
You've been a chef for 30 years. You graduated from the French Culinary Institute.
This is a fact.
Come on.
With my heart, I truly
For real?
sensitive to.
No cap?
So I think it's a good idea for us to be bringing in those components.
What would you give them a cat? One cat, maybe, that they would enjoy to do in addition to the fun must be.
You're capping.
You can give them, something that you they really like.
Maine is a very, very dangerous place this time of year.
It's possible to bring some factors in.
Really?
The job somewhat where.
Dangerous how?
You know, because sometimes a person may not have the time to be treating human beings as human beings at all, but just like confronted.
This is for you, Sammy. You ready?
Oh, too much of the person at all. You know, and I think that's a shame. Because if people are going through life,
This is for you, bro.
in some years into the future, they'll look back and they'll look and they'll see what slavery, and they'll call it wage slavery. That's what they'll call this era. That people were, and they'll kind of want to, how could people
That's for you.
just totally devote their whole life, every day,
See if I can do it on this side, too.
day after day, for this wage, right? And it's wage slavery, that's what it is. They'll look back on it. So I think for those companies really that are abandoning themselves, you know, I'm teaching these people this, and I'm saying to them, you know, it's a good idea that these people have to go to bring.
What do you mean?
If you're, you know, if there's a way
That I would like to do.
employ people in a manner that they're able to regulate their
I'd like to get into knife sharpening for sure.
That's a standard of excellence that your company has reached. And the people that work for you will love you. The people.
Oh. Is that Facebook?
Neil Corporation, they love working about it. It's in the beauty industry. People are selling on the phone and doing all kinds of things. And Edwin is very particular, and he's like a father in a way to the people
You'll
that
see?
work in the company.
Really,
If
David?
there's something that happens in their family, no, he is there.
That's what you're gonna do? You're gonna tell me something like that?
Like that. He's treated.
And you're just gonna leave me hanging?
Each person that
Real
works
cool,
for him
bro.
is precious to him.
Don't help me out.
This person, and he cares about them intensely, and that he's interested in, you know, human relations. Anyway, we're getting away now from body calibration. Let's get back to that.
Forward to full body calibration.
Just leave me out there like that.
Often we're using our eyes and our hand movements and everything else on the body to process. At any time, we can process in any mode, looking straight ahead, just looking in one spot. we always have access to all the different ways of processing without our eyes doing anything or our hands doing anything. Sometimes you'll see in the body one brain processing mode inhibiting another. If you see something like a right leg over a left leg, what do you think that might be happening up here that corresponds to what's happening down here? Yes. Putting the feelings forward, like putting the foot down in internal dialogue, and especially if there's more awareness in this foot and this leg, if you just check in and feel which foot you feel more powerfully right now, that will give you an indication of which side is doing the dominant processing. So you can set it up like that. In a sense, introspection is accessed by...
So just tell us now, why was it that Johnny just did this with his feet? Right, that he shifted from his right being out front to his left being out front. Why is that, do you think?
Did you hear what I said?
Introspection, which is not sequential.
Right, okay, so I'll just share with you this. You know, when this leg comes out in front like this, especially when somebody is teaching, generally it's an indication of an auditory lead. The person is leading more with auditory. When I'll bring this leg out front, because this leg is involved in internal dialogue. And so now, depending on how the other combination of things are being used, the main thing is that quite possibly Johnny is kind of feeling his right, however his left is out in front. So he's leading with an auditory lead, basically. But that his weight is majorly over his right buttock, even though his left leg is out.
Well, initially it was like this, as I was saying. Now, if you see a body shift to the left like this, and I leaned over like this, you can know that this is the dominant hemisphere, and that I'm being involved in introspection. Whereas this is about expression, because this is what sequences things that we express.
Did anybody notice, did you hear the difference? And notice the difference actually between what was happening over there and what's happening over here with John just then? You notice that there was a little bit of a chopped upness when he was moved over there? Yes? And then the minute that he shifted over here, there was more rhythm and more flow that occurred.
So you're feeling disassociated from yourself. You lean to this side, you'll begin to integrate.
You'll begin to be more in introspection and more going inward, right, into whatever it was that's there. And what if you wanted to come out of that now? What would you do? Yes, you would shift over to the right, and you would, like, contractions of body weight shifts, you know, to the right of the body actually start to stimulate this hemisphere.
I had to ask, I don't think I'm on tangent, but in my business, I'm very introspective. Very, very, very introspective. I can't shut everything off. And it's a tremendous obstacle in communications. I can't pay attention. I can't communicate. When I do auditory construct, because that precedes vocalizing, right? What I'm saying.
Okay, the thing that you can do is to shake your body. That's what the use of this information is. For thousands of years, this information has been passed down through Tonka paintings. And this information has been correlated with our understanding today of neurology. For thousands of years, in the Vedic tradition, they have been passing down this ability to access state-specific behaviour by what it is that you do with your body. So what I would share with you, Dave, is to move your body round so that you're more presenting from your right side.
Okay.
Shift your weight a little bit so that you're kind of feeling a little bit more your right leg.
Right hand
confident in your ability literally to go from one state to the next, okay, then you can be anywhere.
So if you notice somebody spending a lot of time leaning to one side or to the other side, you can know what's happening in the brain. And you can know whether they're involved in introspection or expression. Something else that being on one side quite a bit or being on the other side will tell you is the emotional component of a person's experience. This hemisphere mediates aversion. So accessing this hemisphere by being over here actually would sort of help you feel averse. And the opposite.
If the material would lead you to aversion, then absolutely being over here is going to kind of access that more. That's right.
And hanging out over here, you're more likely to be having the emotional feeling of pleasure. Catatonics kind of hang out over here, down internal dialogue, down here, an aversive state like this. And to get anybody out of something like that, then you could help them shift their bodies, like going up somewhere, going out, helping them over to the right. Yeah.
So if you're speaking to someone or you're just from the outcome, it would be that to your advantage to stand on their right-hand side.
If you want them to feel that.
Okay, so let's say that somebody, Bruce, is having an abreaction. Okay? You take an abreaction. Let's say that somebody's having an abreaction, okay? An abreaction is that person goes back to something inside themselves and there's trauma there. There's great trauma there. The person starts to become traumatized. And so what would you do? What is something that you could do? Just sculpt by what you would do with your body. Because part of the component of the competency of getting a practitioner's training is to be able to change state through what it is that you behaviourally do and how you shape things without necessarily having to say anything at all. What could you do to bring this person more into an integrated state?
Touch their hand.
You're right on the right side.
Yes.
Touch their right hand.
Energy on the right side. You could touch the person's hand. If on this hand, if you had rapport with the person, it's possible that you could put your hand on theirs. You could shift your chair a little, and so that you created an energy over here. You could, if you had rapport, you could even have the person shift their body somewhat, so that they're more over here. And this
Isn't there an anchor?
it's going to bring them into the right hemisphere, because in order for them to be able to have the abreaction, they really need to use their right hemisphere. And if you're blocking their ability to use their right hemisphere by taking them into their left, they're going to be unable to feel the abreaction to the same degree. Even when someone's sick.
And you want them to be able to feel their abreaction so that they can know.
Yeah.
They can make choices to
Yeah. So I was with someone over the weekend who went into themselves and really developed an abreaction. Were upset about something, and I have rapport enough to hold this person's hand. And so I sat down a little lower than them, bringing them into this quadrant over here, and I held their hand a little here, and I just gave a little pressure here. Okay. Because this is my ability to, my colon, which is like what I grasped and I'm able to release. And so this muscle gets very, very much involved in my understanding of what I can contain. And so just putting a little pressure in here, like this, right, is bringing the person more into their left hemisphere and having their eyes and cuffs down a little bit more here, and it starts to take them out of the abreaction. You'll notice that someone may be able to easily cry, you know, and they'll easily be able to cry over here, you know, right? But then if they put the shoulder on, if they put their head on the right shoulder, they wouldn't be able to cry on that side at all. And so if someone's weeping about something, then it's a good idea to have them put their heart out and put their shoulders back. And if you're weeping about something, you can have your heart out and your shoulders back, then I think that
around people saying, yeah, you explore the dark side too. And so noticing how I've learned how to cry, it's like, yeah, I've gotten into, crying like this, and then I've noticed myself really wanting to have my feelings in there. And so I bring the tears out and just cry up here too.
And there's a different feeling?
Yeah, it's a feeling up here, the feeling has me, and up here, I have feeling.
Okay. Another thing too would be if you could cry about something in your eyes at a level, then I would say that whatever it is you're crying about is something which truly is on the level that you're on, not something that's above you,
Right.
and not something that you're passing judgment about, right? Not something that's like way above you, like you're in regression, but something that you have the ability that's equal to you.
David, just a point of interest. You're talking about somebody who goes into abreaction. Just as you may take somebody's body and put a little bit more out of alignment as opposed to in alignment, would you perhaps work the abreaction a little bit stronger before you make that shift?
Naturally, the person who's in abreaction, they want to be calm. They generally are wanting to have something settled inside themselves. The brain is naturally wanting this, and basically what's happened is there's inability to make decision about that, because there's maybe conflicting beliefs. One belief is overlapping the other, and so there's inability to make decision. But generally, our brain really does want to be able to make decision. So you would naturally do something that was involving a sense that the person was wanting to be moving from that into something else, actually. Yeah.
So there are a number of things that left and right body shift tell us about what's going on. How about forward body shifts and backward body shifts?
Okay.
What do you think that might tell us?
Okay, dissociating, yes.
I do that all the time.
Okay. All right, excellent. Okay. Now what about when somebody pushes with the feet? Push with the feet like that. Yes. What about that? This is also dissociation. Pushing away. When you're pushing away with the feet. Right. All right, hold it for a second, Ellie. Right, now let your right foot go down and hold your left foot up. When you see this, alright, when you see this occurring, this is internal dialogue on hold. Now let your foot go. And now internal dialogue is free to go again. Now hold your foot up again. Internal dialogue goes on hold. And now put your foot down again.
So remember that.
And internal dialogue is free to flow again.
We can pause like this.
You and I stand on one leg and on left leg behind like this.
Do you?
Shut down there like this. Like this. You're right.
Okay.
When you meditate, you use that technique.
The main thing is that is internal dialogue. And that internal dialogue is occupying the brain. And that's something that says on hold. Okay, so it's still internal dialogue. The main thing is it's internal dialogue is actually on hold. So when you release that, and actually it's not interesting the feeling that happens, inside. Yes. And so what happens, like, I'm with somebody and I can see them kind of, it's perfectly, everything's okay out here, but you see this kind of happening here. Really what you see happening down here is happening in the brain. And so the minute that, the person sort of relaxes the foot a little bit, it's more likely that, they're relaxing the brain as well.
Brain is one of the kitchen off of the
It's not chewing gum, it's
one of the actual German dialogue out there.
No, I don't.
That was in meditation, I think, doesn't always feel proper, right? When it doesn't go sometimes, and when you do, you can follow certain movements. I'm sure I was a lot of people crazy over here, so I watch about deep jumping.
Well, something, I know people who would say, they would be shocked if you told them that they had Parkinson's, if you saw them doing this, right? Because that's a regular thing. Sometimes somebody is actually moving their legs a lot, okay? And, in a way, sometimes if somebody's doing something else, or whatever it is that they're doing, in fact, or like the cat think about this a little bit more, not so much that there's something that's an element, but something much more, well, now what is it that I can do? What is it that I can do actually to bring to me what I want? So that we're not attaching our identity to some behaviour. Are you understanding this? This is very important actually because this is happening out there with all kinds of drug rehabilitation programs and Alcoholics Anonymous, right, where the person is attaching their identity to some behaviour, and this is irrational.
Back it up on you.
Okay, the person is attaching their identity to some behaviour. For instance, this path possibly get there, through Alcoholics Anonymous, right? It is a path, and they do have some success. I would say that it's bent a little. It's not the straightest path. There's a way for it to be a bit straighter. And I say the thing that's making it bent a little bit is that they're asking you to attach your identity to some behaviour. And it would be better off saying, I have some behavioural tendency, or something that I am a person.
Right. Rather than I am an alcoholic. In the past, I've drunk a lot.
They also use
That's just the behavior.
Then you could use the same form and to identify co-dependency of drug rehabilitation, everything. Same form, just changing the name.
So anyway, I hope that we know a little better as a result of what we're understanding about brain processes. And anyway, let's get back to full body.
Yeah, let's kind of like wrap this thing up here for a second here. Okay. Alice, you said that this would be association and this would be dissociation. And what do these words mean? What's going on? There's association or dissociation.
You're getting the more.
Yes, so Alice would be sure to give that person the job. He would be watching this person and seeing this person is like getting over there, they're getting ready to do something. Right? And the person who's kind of leaning back like this, Alice would really look for the person who's
Go back.
So if you're talking to somebody and you notice them leaning towards you, you can have an idea that you're on the right track. And if you say something to somebody that maybe you want to make a sale to, and you notice this, then maybe time for something else to get them back leaning forward. Because this is a sign of going towards something that they enjoy.
What advantage is there leaning back? Tell me. What advantage? Not that something is right. Not that something is right. That's not the way to look at this. Yes. Okay, so the person is able to do a little bit more in the introspection. What's happening when the person is dissociating? What's the benefit of this? Maybe that's true. Okay. So somebody said to John just recently that he needs to learn to dissociate. Okay, because dissociation is a wonderful thing. Not that something is right or wrong, no. It's depending on the use of this. The main thing is that when you move back, it means that you have the ability to be able to go from one thing to the next. And actually the movement is helping this. So when a dog is walking along and all of a sudden another dog goes, and so then you notice that your dog's kind of walking along, right? And maybe all of a sudden your dog goes, and then it kind of walks off, right? And actually it's dissociated from that dog. Just shake that off and just walk. Or let's say that your dog hasn't shaken everything off, and then all of a sudden it sees another dog, and it's going to go, this other dog, see? And that's the way it's able to go from one thing to the next. Well, dissociation, this movement of the body allows the person to go from one thing to the next. When there is a stillness, as in catalepsy, okay, the person's kind of locked in. They're stuck in one state, usually. And actually, if you ask the person to be able to move, or if you move yourself, this is the way that you go from one thing to the next. And that the movement is very important in this process. So, bringing into the room a candle that's flickering, the flickering light of a candle, this is the analog of inviting us to be able to dissociate. Because the candlelight is the analog this analog of movement is inviting us to be able to be in movement ourselves. So having a candle in the room that's flickering light really enables us to be able to dissociate, to be able to reflect on the past and to reflect on the future and to leave the present tense somewhat.
An association or dissociation can be really gross like this, and it can be as subtle as just a minute movement forward or a movement backward with the head. It can be very subtle. It's nice to pick it up. There's something also about congruity. If you say something and then do a body movement that's congruent, like if you talk about something that you're really looking forward to as you lean forward, then what you say and what you do, you're congruent. And if you see someone talk about what they're really looking forward to do at the same time they do something like this, then maybe there's two different things happening. And you can look for that and see it. Now, I would like to end with the secret to whole brain functioning. I have it here behind my back. This is the direct transmission. Secret to whole brain functioning is this body movement. Because anything that you do out here downstairs is happening upstairs also. So symmetrical movements involving both hemispheres, both sides of the body, twiddling your thumbs, doing anything like this. You'll notice some things from Tai Chi might pop in here. This is setting up synchronization of the hemispheres and whole brain functioning upstairs.
Very bad.
One of the techniques I use is buckling.
So this is the secret teaching. I'd appreciate it if you just kind of keep it to yourselves. Either hand and it's good to ship.
When I was real little and I didn't know what to do with work, my parents, they said, go to your thumbs.
I did that too.
Yeah.
And you know what, boy, you had to put your thoughts in there.
I see you lean back and talk about the way you're doing that.
Twiddling their thumbs necessarily right. One day this friend of ours would always, if somebody said something to her and it really was something that was absolutely not something that was involving whole brain functioning, right, she would be she felt this pattern of kind of waving it. She could imagine it coming through and then she was kind of waving it. And for about a year she did this. Somebody said something to her and it really was something that was just like, she kind of just dispersed. And she would be kind of waving, right? And then one day, I was in the kitchen, and I said to her, Renee, I said, oh Renee, I said, why don't you just take that movement inside? That everybody was seeing her all the time, kind of acting like this, and she did this for a year. And after a year, finally I said to her, oh Renee, why don't you just take that movement inside? And she went, oh. Because actually all of a sudden she realised what it was that people were looking at every now and then, seeing her kind of like this, what was going on. And the thing is that now that you know this, you can imagine that occurring actually in your brain to create a hemisynchronization between both hemispheres, so that each hemisphere becomes in synchronization with the other. And when you're experiencing the essence of genius, this is what's occurring. Your brain is functioning like one neuron. Okay, so we could get into hand calibration, and I think that we're going to have to do that another time. I think so that you're going to learn this piece first here, and then we'll get into hand calibration as well, what the fingers mean. When you see one finger out in front of the other, what's occurring actually in the brain. And so this will be a finer type of calibration, and then also where the hand actually, this is meaning something specific in the brain. This is meaning something very specific in the brain. This is meaning something very specific in the brain. So we'll really get much more into where the fingers are pointing and which hand is out in front of the other, and this type of thing. But anyway, for the moment now, I think let's take a 5-minute break, and I'd really appreciate it if everybody could come back here in 7 minutes. Because when we come back in 7 minutes, we'll have someone come out and
I think I should have left the mushrooms as is. Oh well.
That we're using here in whole brain functioning is the very first question that you are asking the person that comes to you is what is it that you want? And that as much as you can keep the person focused on what it is that they want, you are really moving the person in a streamlined direction. Rather than asking them what is wrong, and them telling you what is wrong, because what's wrong is not what it is that's what they want generally. It's something else, usually. So the streamlined way to get there is to ask the person what is it that they want, and have them be focused on that. And then, or ask them what their outcome is out of this. And then you're asking them, how does this outcome work? What does it look like? What does it feel? So that you're getting something that's sensory specific. And we're going to be teaching a language model today that's getting things to become more sensory specific and recover lost and deleted information, actually. So, and then your next question is, and you're asking yourself is, well, what are the resources that I have? What are the resources that you have to get this? And so the person's focused on this. Let's say the person needs a resourcefulness of creativity. In other words, they need to be creative. Well, then that would be an important resource to be able to solve this situation. You would be in need of anchoring a resource state that's creative, that has a creative component to it. We're going to be learning anchoring today, which is one of the change techniques that we're going to be teaching. So then once you've found out what the resources are to get this, then you're setting something up that's just to do with a feedback loop that's enabling you to know whether you've got this or not. What would this look like, and how would it feel when I have it? And how would life be different now that I have this? This is setting up a feedback loop back into myself that's enabling me to determine whether I have this or not, rather than a diagnosis you have, which is kind of a dead end thing, fitting something in there that actually creates feedback back into the system. Okay, so that's an outcome frame, all right? So that now when we're going to ask you what your outcomes are here for this training, for the next days that are to come, what is it that you hope to have achieved at the end of the training? It can be something personal, it can be something professional in the development of self, it can be something that you will have wanted to accomplish, and so that you're going to be using outcome framing to bring this to you. And so it's going to have to satisfy conditions of well-formedness, page 33. It's a need of stating it in the positive. So those people who are excellent in life are asking themselves questions that are bringing to them specific information. It would be no use you asking yourself, why am I this way? Or why don't I have this? Or why can't I get something? A question like this is not going to lead you very far. Those people who are very successful in life have learned to ask themselves questions which lead to information that's valuable, that's usable. So what, when, who, how, what, when, where, who, and how are questions that all bring something back to you which is center specific. So stating the question in the positive, framing it positively, is this outcome that I want ecological? Because to satisfy well-formedness is the need of being ecological, and that you are using your intuition, your insight to sense whether this is ecological or not, and you're taking yourself through the process. Is there any part of me that would object to this? If it's smoking cessation, is smoking cessation ecological for you? So how are you going to be now with your mate at home? That generally in the past maybe you've smoked together or something, and now is it ecological for you to be free now of cigarette smoking? And I would ask, how's it going to be when you sit at home with your mate? Ordinarily in the past, this has been an anchor probably for being able to have talk and discuss things. And once the smoking goes, maybe the person's doing something else, and there's not harmony in the nest. So is this outcome that you are wanting ecological? And you ask yourself this question.
If the client says it is sound and you in the gut really know it isn't.
Exactly.
What do you do?
So this happened to me the other day. I was counselling with somebody who kind of has been involved in gambling, and what I noticed was that what the person was thinking in what they would do, it was very much like this gambling thing, just like leaving things to chance, rather than me using my brain to bring to me what I want. I'm just totally leaving it up to chance. And so what I noticed was this person said, well, I'm going to quit my job, and then I'll kind of look around for something else. Which is like kind of this gambling thing that's happening even there. And so I knew this was not ecological. And of course, at some level, this person also knew that was not ecological. So you are using your intuitiveness truly to be with the person, and you are sensing that I am the other person. They are me. And I am speaking to myself in the most elegant way that I can, move myself from this position where I am to some other place. Okay, so is it within their control to have this? Because otherwise, what you are doing is not going to work.
And don't you have to say that?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, you're able to use your intuitive self to highlight what is there and be honest. The more that you can be a reflection like a mirror, the more useful you will be, as a change agent. That you have the ability to reflect back what's occurring. So, and is it testable and demonstrable, this thing that you want to satisfy a condition of well-formedness? This outcome that you want needs to be something which is tangible, something you can see, something you can feel, something you can hear, something that you can experience. But there will be no use saying, well, I want to be freer. Because that's like gross normalization. That's, if you said, I want to be able to relax my breathing and be able to feel like I'm in flow, and then or something, that might be a little bit more of a specific outcome actually, by some date or during something, that would be even more specific. So the desired state must be specific. It would be no use you saying, I want to travel. Would be better off you saying, I would like to travel to France in March next year.
Oh boy.
That's very specific. Would be no use you saying, I want to finish tasks on time, because that's not specific. Specific would be, I'm going to hold an image of one task in my head long enough to be able to complete that task before I entertain another. So there's elements out here which we're watching you to see to what degree you have the ability to focus on the task at hand. And what's occurring. Have you got progress running that's creating distraction? So, it would be no use you saying, I want to be able to make decisions, because that's not specific enough. Specific would be, I would like to be able to have the sensory experience enough to be able to make decisions. So decision making is based on your sensory experience. Okay, so this outcome that you are thinking needs to be specific. Alright, so now whenever it comes to you, you can use this information truly to create a well-formed outcome with the person. Alright, so now take 10 minutes out now to come up with an outcome. Maybe you have a couple of outcomes, and you're going to explain what an anchor is. And the reason for an anchor is that you can get a handle on some state, so that all you need to do is to use a voice tone. For instance, if that was an anchor, like a soft, low voice tone, and the hypnotic was used, people started to go more into themselves. This would be an anchor for this state. Or whenever it is that you see a vision, a photograph or something that's a reminder of some feeling at the time, that picture is an anchor for some state. In other words, the picture is getting a handle on some state inside. So for instance, we could elicit a resourceful state, and let's say there's a need for creativity to be there. So a person could think back to some moment in the past when they were creative, and they could feel this creativity, and you could ask them, what does this feel like? What does it sound like inside? And when you were seeing a robust state of this creative self, then you could, just in that moment that the state peaks, that you were seeing the state peak, to now we're going to learn anchoring through the kinesthetic self. And the main thing is that you can use this technique of anchoring with other things that you're doing in other senses. The main thing is that we're going to teach it, the simplest way to teach this is to teach it through the kinesthetic self. That you're going to ask somebody where they would like to have that anchored, and then you're going to touch that place, okay, in the same way that you anchored it, and it will re-access that state. The reason why it's great that we're able to do this is because then the person can go and be doing something else, and then whenever you would come back and fire off that anchor, it's acting like a tuning fork or shortening the area on a radio, tuning in a specific frequency. So anchoring basically is classical conditioning. When the response, when the stimulus is given, we get a response. So it's a pairing of a stimulus with a response. And the main thing is that there's a principle underneath this that's very valuable in everything that you do. So if I was to go out and shake that hand like this, like that, right? Remember anybody ever shaken that hand like that, okay? It's a handshake which is kinesthetic. And whenever he's supposed to have shaken that hand like that before, it's always because he's done a good job. And it's a kinesthetic angle. Excellent. So now when I shake his hand like this, there's a sense of feeling excellent inside. Or, you know, I came up behind Annie the other day, you know, and I came up behind her around like this. So this is certainly an anchor of support. And if I was placing an anchor and I touched Christiane's back here, right? Now, that's probably not a good place to anchor something too much. Okay, because when Christiane was small, this is probably the area actually where she was really kind of pushed along, come on, like this, right? So when you choose a way to anchor, it's a good idea that there isn't any competition with other types of things that are stored there. So if you're picking a place like that that's distinct, it's not going to compete with other things that are there. Now the timing of it is very important. So if we're going to access a resourceful state,
Thank you, Josh.
and you ask the person, where would you like me to
Back
anchor
at you,
this?
baby.
The person said, oh, you can put that, you know, on my knee, or I'll shake your hand, and as this feeling comes on, and you'll set that up with the person. But the reason why is because just as the state peaks, just before it peaks, okay, that's when you're going to anchor it. So then you're watching for a behavioural manifestation of that internal response, and when you're anchoring it. So you're using your eyes to sense when it is that you have the state. So let's say that you're going for a robust state of pleasure and resourcefulness. I might ask this, when was the last time you just laughed so hard, you fell down on the floor, you were laughing so hard, and I watched the person smile. Just as the person smiled, I fire off the anchor, okay, so that you expand anchors this way, okay, so you can build a resource. So then when you just shake the person's hand, you can test your work, and you can see that you fire off the hand, and you can see Yes, excellent. Good, Bruce. So that we're making sure that the stimulus is the same. Because what would happen if we anchored curiosity like that, and then we were talking about something, and then I came back after curiosity, and I wasn't saying. So it's very important that you're able to manifest the same response as it was the first time that it was anchored. Sort of like a question more or less. Like kind of a question. It should be comfortable, It should really be an angle, like imagine a purchase on the person's skin. What you want in a purchase, that's the main thing. Something too like, that's a little bit not so much of the something really sort of connected. That's a good one. And the important question for everyone is that you're making sure that you're doing it the same. So that the stimulus is the same. Okay? Here's what you're going to do. You're going to, first of all, elicit a state of whole brain function and live and know that the person's feeling excellent and okay about himself, right? And okay about things. And then what you're going to do is you're going to ask the person if there's some response that they have, like a stuck state with something that they're feeling a little stuck about. And let's not have anything major come up right now, okay? So pick something that is something that you would enjoy feeling better about, and so this will be called the stuck state. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to ask your client where it is that they would like you to anchor this. And the person will say in the back of my hand, or on this leg, or on the elbow here, or somewhere, okay? And so then you're going to say, okay, now what I'd like you to do is to go now to that stuck state. Now you can become very specific, and we're going to be talking about installation. So I think just for the moment here now, we're going to learn a generic way to anchor, and later on I'm going to teach you how to install that strategy so that you're using this person's sensory specific strategy, the way they know about making decisions, to fire off and install a strategy. So if I knew, for instance, that when Dave saw this, then he felt something, then I would be sure to say, and when you see this in the past, which is the stuck state, now you're going to feel this. And what I do is I've held the resource anchor whilst I've released the stuck state anchor. And the main thing is that the resource that you'll build is a powerful enough resource that will collapse any stuck state into it. If the resource state has a large enough pool of positive ions in it, it will collapse the stuck state into it. There'll be plenty more positive ions there. In fact, so here's what you're going to do. I'm going to go over it now. You're going to sense the person's in whole brain functioning, has ability to use all their brain. And then you're going to ask them for a stuck state. And then you're going to anchor that stuck state. Just before the stuck state, you're looking at the person's state, sensing what it is. You can ask them for an idiomotor dynamic, a way of telling you that's about to peak. You can say, nod your head just as it's starting to peak. And then as you see them nodding your head, fire off the anchor and anchor that state. And then ask the person to ask them what they did yesterday, make a breaker state from that to clear that state. So ask them what they did yesterday, what they did today, what they do tomorrow, or something. And then say, all right, now what I'd like you to do is, I'd like us to build a resource state now. And maybe the resource state, there's something in the resource state that's specific, what the person would enjoy having a feeling of, that will quell this stuck state.
Breaker state.
That you build is a large enough resource state to collapse the stuck state into it. Okay? So now, so you're going to set up and you don't know area again. We're going to ask the person to not be in. So they're going out of the auditory self somewhat. More into vision and feeling.
Bro.
Okay, so you'll ask them to not hear or to shake your hand if it's going to be, their hand, which is a good place to anchor excellence, right? So hold the person's hand and ask them to shake your hand when they're just about to peak. In the resource state. If it's a stuff state that we were talking about, it would be just before the stuff state peaks, then you anchor it. Okay? And you're holding the anchor there, making sure that it's anchored, and then releasing. Okay, so then you make a break state. You ask the person what they're doing, just to clear the neurology. And then you ask them to come back now and access a resourceful state. They can think back in the past when they were laughing so hard. They can think about something that they accomplished, they built, some feeling of a sense inside of being creative, something they painted, something that they did or they accomplished. Making it as resourceful, and that you're looking to see that it is resourceful. So the person that will activate the zygomatic muscle. You want to see that that's activated a little bit. The person sort of smiling a little, and that you can see their eyebrows raise just a little bit, and you'll notice actually. Just use your intuition to sense that you know for sure the person has a resource state.
So that's gonna shine up to there.
Just in that moment that it's peaking, and shake your hand, so you shake the hand or you anchor it. Okay.
I wonder if I should put it down one.
Then you break the state from that.
You know?
You ask the person what they need is look around the room or something, shaking them up, and then you say, all right.
Because this is slanted, so
It is in the past that you
if it comes from down,
fire off the stuck state anchor. Now you're going to feel this.
be more square. I think that's what I got to do.
Hold the resource anchor, and then release the resource anchor.
Down one.
So you pressing the resource anchor simultaneously with the start state anchor? Yes, sir. If this is the start state and this is the resource state, okay, so now in the past, when you feel this, which brings the memory back.
Oh!
Now you're going to feel this. And then you release the start state, hold the resource there, release. And once you anchor before you break the synesthesia, you might walk with it, you may just go like that, with the same with the stimulus, to see that you are getting the response or paired with the stimulus. The orbital muscle of the mouth, you can see the orbital muscle of the mouth kind of cool down like that, and you'll know the person actually has gone through the physiology that's involved in the stuff state. If you know that is occurring, it means that you've got an excellent anchor, and that the two of you have worked well together. Okay, and so then you make a bracket state, and then you just kind of fire off the resource state to see if the anchor will elicit the resourceful physiology. So you test your work. Then you practice in the past when you felt this, now you're going to feel this. Book. Okay, and then you might do that a couple times, and then make a break state, and then ask the person, what is it now that you feel? And then touch the resource, touch the start state, and see to what degree the person is in resourceful physiology. You will know it yourself. When the synesthesia has occurred, you'll try as you may to get the feeling back of how it was that you felt about this thing. It will practically be impossible to get the start state feeling back.
You do a state, or what you call it, state, breaker state?
Yeah, breaker state.
Like you said, you do that maybe 2 or 3 times.
Whenever you're able to do the next chunk, it's a good idea
Cha-ching.
And then releasing the stuck state, retaining the resource state, and then release the resource state. And then do this again, fire off the stuck state, fire off the resource state, so the synesthesia is created, release the stuck state, hold the resource state, and then release the resource state, and then like make a bracket state. Okay, and then after you made the bracket state, then just say to the person, what is over here now? See if you try and see if you can get that back. And you'll notice that the person will be laughing a little about that they're excellent in themselves, and they won't be able to get back this stuck state to the same degree. Okay, well, bring that through.
Boom. Boom. Lie there. Head that way. Looking this way. There's your movie screen. So we're going to put this way you can see this, okay? And just turn around just a little bit this way, so it's facing the front. Okay? We don't have to do it. Well, okay. And it's a good idea to feel that you can start to relax a little now, okay? And actually bring your feet down a little bit like that, and put your hands here. Okay? And you can do many things, and I'm just going to ask Forrest to allow your eyelids to close just as you feel the need to blink, okay? And this is going to last about 5 minutes or so, right? And it seems like such a short time. So allow your eyelids to close as you feel the need to blink here now. Alright? And what I'm going to do is have you go back inside, right? And relax a little, okay? And go back inside and watch a television show. And when you're watching a television show, right, allow this finger here to lift. Alright, good. Okay. Yes, that's good. What if I do this?
Just in the time that ever so gently takes you to relax. Relax now in the distance that it takes your hand ever so gently flat down towards your neck.
What if I take this?
To relax a little. And I'm going to be speaking figuratively when you relax. Now, what I've set up is what's called a leakage induction, which is to do with Forrest relaxing as his arm ever so gently floats back down toward his knee. Leakage induction is excellent, and it can be framed to something, in fact, that's actually happening in the room. And this is quite a strong way because it's the pairing of something that's occurring with something else occurring. So it's quite a strong way. So anyway, so we'll be learning this technique at some point. And so first in a nice relaxed state, excellent. Okay, ready to start. Alright, now what I'm going to have you do first is if you feel you would enjoy being able to open your eyes, you can open your eyes, and that's excellent. And whatever it is you feel that will enhance the process, you allow yourself to do that.
I don't know.
You can move, and the main thing is you're feeling relaxed.
Possible.
And I'm going to ask you now, is there something that's happened, alright, that you'd enjoy feeling better about? You think about something you'd love to feel better about or feel resourceful about? Maybe, yes. Have you got something? Yes? Alright, okay. Alright. Now what I'd like you to do is to allow your eyes to be focused over here somewhere, okay? So that you can keep your train of thought a little, alright? And I'm going to ask, would it be alright if I anchor that stuck state over here on your knee? Like that, yes. Yep, I'm going to do that, right. So what I'm going to have you do now is imagine that you're in this stuck state. And the more that you can feel this stuck state, and the more that your will is behind
day, every day.
You see now, partly I know that we're kind of collapsing this already, okay? Because as Forrest has thought about this thing, at first I saw all the muscle of the mouth cool down just a little, and then as he was thinking about, hey, this is pretty neat or something, whatever, he also was kind of smiling a little bit too, so this thing was starting to be collapsed actually. That's what I thought. So anyway, for the moment now what I really want you to imagine that you're really mad about this thing, you're really kind of upset, okay? So now feel a little mad, kind of upset inside. Remember this moment in the past. Actually, that's something I think is going to help if you allow your eyes to close now for a little bit. And you go inside. Alright. So now what I'd like you to do is to bring your hands out and lay them, place them here. Just as, and this hand is going to lift when you are feeling the stuck state. And allow this hand to be held up whilst you're feeling this stuck state.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Check on the food.
That's excellent now, okay. Alright, I'm going to change this a little bit. You know, I have to sort of change it a bit, okay. But you do know that Forrest has thought about this thing, whatever that is, that's made him feel a little stuck in the past, okay. Alright, so now allow this hand to relax back where it was now. And I'm going to ask you to shake my hand, okay? Now you remember doing a job, you really did an excellent job, excellent, good on you, right, okay, right. Now your eyelids, keep your eyelids closed, okay. Now what I'm going to have you do is think of something in the past that you accomplished, something that you built, something that you made, something you put together, something you're really proud of. Shake my hand when you're thinking about it here. Shake my hand, yes, good on you, excellent, great. Alright, okay. I know this is a pretty full-blown resource state that Forrest thought of, alright. Okay, so now I kind of use a little bit of a break state between those two, okay, as we clear the screen, or as I chatted with you. So now what it is I'm gonna have you do is you're gonna hold my hand here for a second, alright, like you were, and in a moment when I shake your hand, you're going to shake my hand, okay? In the past, when you felt this, now you're going to feel this. Excellent, good. Alright, so now we'll do this one more time, okay? Alright, shake your hand again. Alright. In the past, Forrest, when you felt this happening a little, now you're going to feel this. Good job, alright. Yeah. Okay. And now what happens when I try and get this feeling back? What happens when you try to get it back? Do it! Can you try and get it back? Can you get it back? Yes? A little. You can get the feeling back a little bit. Anyway, the main thing is, without doing more work, okay, it's possible that there's a resource there as well, actually. I'm not sure what Forrest went back to. Possibly that there's a resource there. And the other thing too is it's possible to get it back in another system, in vision or in auditory. Kinesthetic sense is a pretty strong one. Okay. Anyway, the main thing is that there's a little bit of difficulty getting it back initially, and when it's tough. So you can see the behavior manifestation that it's not quite the stuck state. Okay, so that's excellent too. Terry noticed that
practitioner level course. Starting on Friday, October 20th, 1989.
89! Woo! Wow. 1989. Imagine.
And it's been really fun. It's like just every sentence that I hear that pop up in, I just take it out and I kind of experience what that is. And it's always an altered state. I'm not sure why. I don't know where the cycle moves from where to where. But in that moment that I do that, I like it.
Okay. Jenny's really become aware of something. We've been speaking about this for quite some time, and now Jenny's finally fitted this piece in. It's to do with quantifying stuff.
Let's go.
Putting scale to things.
Would that be bliss? Would that be bliss?
In that moment, yes, there's a sense of, I know this is novelization, but there's a sense of lightness and freedom in that moment.
Yes, because it's a releasing a person from the bondage of using judgment. Right? So somebody, I explained to someone, oh yes, we have an island with about 4,500 acres, and then the person says, because this person's a big league, right? And this person says, oh, that's a small island. And actually what I realized is this person does put scale of things incredibly. And something unbeknownst to this person, it's getting them into deep SH1T, really getting them into deep shit whenever they do this. Unbeknownst to them, really. You can know for sure whenever you use scale or you quantify something, if you can stand behind that quantification, then excellent. If you can stand behind the quantification, then that's excellent. But if there's not a reason to say, oh, that's a small island, that's a small house, or that's a big house, or that's a small fish. Unless there's a reason for it, well then that's okay.
Andy heard something on the radio. It was really interesting. This really impressed him. He said he's 6 years old. He came and sat down by me one day and he goes, Mom, I heard something on the radio. I said, what? He said, I heard on the radio that children that are children now, when they grow up, they won't be able to afford to have as good of a house as their parents have. Well, but he understood that this somebody was trying to tell him something about what his life was going to be about. He said, is that true? I said, well, what does that mean, as good as, to you? And he said, well, as big. He said, that means I won't have a house this big. And I said, well, no matter what good could mean. It could mean, well, does good mean you had more trees or bigger land or, red wallpaper? What does good mean? And he began to realize, well, what does good mean? What are they really trying to say? And I said, it's just people saying something that they believe and it has nothing to do with what your life is going to be about. And it's like, imagine somebody saying that. They're putting that, and he's 6 years old and he picked up on that. They had said better than, good as, and all this.
Well, so when you find yourself making a comparison like that, then what are you doing to release yourself from that?
I just restate it to myself. Okay, like I was saying, I remember one time I was putting a sheet on the massage table, when my clients was coming in, and I said, this is a good sheet. Because it was a sheet that I liked, actually. And I said, this is a good sheet. And I thought, this is a sheet. And I just put it down. Why this big attachment to the good sheet or the bad sheet? Because if it was in a bad sheet, then I could have been thinking, oh, there's a bad sheet on the table. So I just said, this is a sheet. And I've been doing that with so many things, just going right to the...
Yes, it is. Actually, we recognize this. We recognize when somebody is this way, they're not really using much judgment. in their language, hardly any judgment at all. And we love this actually. We recognize that the person truly is, there's a sense of equanimity in the way the person is relating to the things around them, that they're equal to
That's the altered
everything.
state. The altered state goes from judgment to equanimity. That's what it's altered to. And I would just be in this moment of total equanimity in that moment that I let go of that judgment.
Is everybody understanding this? Dave? What, Alex?
Well, no, I understand.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I've got a question. In talking with clients, I find myself consciously and unconsciously affirming and empowering them. And one of the ways that I do that is the use of the word excellent. Often, I have found out that I've been saying it almost subliminally. When I'll start to work on somebody, put down somebody's back, and they're leaning over, and I'll just, as something releases, the shoulder will let go on that. Suddenly from here it goes to here, and as they release, I'll just say, oh, excellent. And I'm wondering in terms of, to me, that's an empowerment to it.
Yes, it is.
And in some ways, maybe an anchor or a reframe for what's happening. At the same time, I'm hearing exactly what Virginia is saying and understanding that in our language, if we can step back from using adjectives all the time or even adverbs all the time, we become very clear and succinct in our language.
Well, actually, when we're comparing, when we're using words to compare one thing in terms of another, or we're putting scale to something, or we're using a universal quantifier like always, or we're using a word like better. What is that? That's a what is the word better? No, comparator. Well, anyway, the main thing is that if there's a use of it, then I think that's excellent. If you can stand behind it and that there's a reason for it, which there is in this case, then that's excellent. Then to be careful, to be mindful when it is how it is that we're speaking and that you are standing behind something when you use one of these words.
Another thing that I have worked with this last month in my language with clients is a sense that the dialogue that happens, I can usually see people...
Ooh, sweating already, holy.
And for the first half hour, it's just dialogue. I just talk to them. Often has nothing to do with the information about their body. I'm allowing them to take some time and build rapport and get comfortable before
So I'm going to put all my laundry away, and then I'm going to pack.
I feel personally that perhaps
Like these pants I'm going to take with me, but I'll put them away first, so I have everything to pull from.
And hands-on, if there is a change, physical change that takes place, I consider the words much more powerful than the hands-on. Not that the hands-on isn't important, but relative to the interaction, I think the words and the
These pants I might take.
a week later, a month later, where the transition continues.
Yes, because it's better to give the person a way to be able to catch fish themselves than to give them a fish. Right. And you can heal the body by working on the person, yet truly what it is that's created the condition is in need of being sorted out as well. So if you can fix something up on a mental plane of this person, then it's going to have a trickle-down effect actually to their physiology.
One thing that I'm confused about is, now you just said it's better to. Is it okay to use comparatives when there are some things that are true?
Yes, and anything that you really can stand behind, then you can use a comparator, or you can use a universal quantifier like always, or you can use a performative like good or better. See how you say, oh, you did that well. Now the word well is a performative. There's a missing performative. That's what we call missing performative, because well, we're not understanding what we mean actually by well. We're not understanding how the process of well got there. So in the middle. after day. When there's a missing performative, it's a meaning that we're not understanding how it is that something got better. The person used the word better, but we're not understanding how the person got better. So it's a missing performative. But anyway, whenever we use performatives or we use universal qualifiers like you always should do, you should always lengthen the inspiration through your nose in moments during the day. Anything that you can stand behind, I think that's excellent. And that we should be aware of that we really should be able to stand behind something if we're going to use those words.
If it serves you, that's kind of what I would ask myself at the moment I hear, does this serve me? Not at the expense of the object or the person, right?
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Anybody else? I'm going to ask a question. What could you do with what you learned about anchoring? What is that anyway?
Replacing one that you feel with the other. One you can choose your.
Okay, so let's say there's a situation that's really volatile. How do you use this process of anchoring in a situation that's volatile?
Makes you conscious of the choice to feel certain way about it.
Yes, but for instance, like I could imagine someone thinking, well, how do I use this technique? Actually in a volatile situation. This technique of anchoring, tactile.
Calm down and being awful.
Right, how would you give us an example of anchoring, a way of anchoring, this principle of understanding anchoring?
Where am I going? Tomorrow I'm going to the Bronx. Monday I'm going to go to Boston. And then from there I'm going to go to Maine.
I have already
That's the plan.
video of something that very pleasant that I like very much, and I just bring it in.
Okay, so now the video is an anchor for a state. Okay, that's good, Tammy. You're understanding anchoring. Right, certainly, okay.
It's got David in chat saying Maine is very, very dangerous.
Like I was speaking earlier.
And then he won't say why.
Getting bad, you can't get one, you feel good. This is rather than just touch us and just follow your body. If you said it as an action point, it's right, example, it brings that particular place situation to reflect that.
What for?
You're using this directly through kinesthetic anchoring.
So,
If I shook your hand like this,
the Bronx is
everybody's ever shaking your hand. It's reminding you
another healer
kinesthetic means the
named Thomas,
it's a kinesthetic feeling.
codenamed T-Rain
Kinesthetic anchor.
or T-Rex.
When anybody's ever shaken your hand before, it's reminding you
You're going to be
of excellence in yourself.
seeing him on his birthday tomorrow,
Shake your hand that.
babysitting so he could go out with his
Yes.
woman.
So that the handshake then, to give you an
I'm going to
example,
stay there
it's a kinesthetic
until Monday because
excellence, actually.
his son's birthday also this weekend.
If someone was to come up with ginger, kind of really give them a little bit
Boston,
of
I'm going to try to connect with a couple of people. One of them is Rose Gracie. Another one is Ken Florian, who was the runner-up on the first season of The Ultimate Fighter. I was the runner-up on the second season.
So another way of using this principle of anchoring would be if there was a volatile situation and you saw that
There's also a place in New Hampshire on the border of Maine, a martial arts gym run by another veteran, MMA veteran. I think he was in the UFC and Bellator. I want to stop there. And then in actually Maine is Sweet Justine. At Sweet Justine on YouTube. And I sent my dehydrator in advance today. And we're going to do some cool things, hopefully, with food and natural healing and cleansing. She's got a massage table and works at a health food store, which I believe has a commercial food service establishment certification, which means you can sell food out of there. So that's why I sent the hydrator in advance, not just to make food, but also to hopefully make product for sale. How have you met Dana? Of course.
So understanding anchoring again, I might start to use a voice which becomes.
I met him on TV. If you've ever seen The Ultimate Fighter Season 2, which I was a contestant on. You ever see that? Season 2? I know, I'm showing my age. What are they up to now? Season 40?
Yes, because it's like classical conditioning, actually. So, for instance, let's just say that we give a rat saccharin. You know what saccharin is? It's
Ramen.
Sweetener. Artificial sweetener. And we shock the rat, okay? Or we give the rat something which actually lowers its immune response. So now all we need to do then is to give the rat saccharin, and saccharin becomes paired to this lowered immune response. So now all the rat has to do is to have a little saccharin, and it gets this lowered immune response. Okay, so this is classical conditioning. In other words, the saccharin has become an anchor for this lowered immune response.
Oh, I don't do this morning. I changed the name. I just realized. Right up here, there's a slow pass over the interstate, and on either side is a cattle gap. Cattle crossing is right over there. The railroad that skins and to keep the cows off the road. That's one side of the bed from the other.
I think I'm going to leave my swords at home. It's a bit much to carry.
Anticipated the broth, and I go across with a slight bump, which I have heretofore had a reason to.
Back to the-
Going across that thing. And also I realized I want to change this to, wow, this is, like, so as I went across it, like, I got a little watch. And then when I got on the other side, then there was a second.
The octo... Not the octagon. Let's see. Here we go. Not the octagon. The octo circle. Hey-o! Matt Hughes.
So as soon as I heard the telephone ring, I was saying to myself, oh boy, the telephone. That feels great. So now when it rings, I've got these two things matched.
Excellent. Oh, that's excellent. That's a good one. Yeah.
Matt Hughes, God bless.
When you talk about that, I had a chance with a customer, and
Whoop.
not just direct, my countermeasure.
Yes. Indirect.
Indirect method is all I have.
Yes.
When I'm selling, I'm usually very high-paced visuals that I talk fast. And with my customers, I slow down what the customers do. And we're interacting with the customer. And I found that when we got to the close, all my customers, when they hear this thing like $30,000 or more, they tend to get a little tense. And more fast-paced themselves.
Yes.
So I slow down more, and I can smile. And then when I go in, I start smiling back, and slow down. So they work great.
Fantastic. Excellent.
The smile will anchor itself.
Yes.
Really less tense, rather than smile.
Okay, so that's excellent. So now what happened here? Dad was smiling when it was that he was relaxed. And then all he needed to do in this moment was to start to smile again, and the smile became paired to the way that he'd spent some time with the client. That's very good.
Matt Hughes, yep. He was one of the coaches.
You may start to get nervous and you smile.
So
Matt Hughes and Rich Franklin.
Influence the proceedings of a course.
I was on Matt Hughes' team.
Give me an example now, somebody, how you could do that.
Your court?
Yes.
Well, I was an expert witness at one point, and there was a lawyer from a large law firm in New Orleans attempting to discredit me, to make me look foolish for the judge, so that my testimony would be discounted. And he asked me if we had a model, a piece of a window wall, a little bit of glass window wall about this long, about this high. And he asked me if the window wall was put together with a certain number of screws. And I asked the judge if I could get out of his chair. And I had my coat high, everybody in the courtroom was all decked out, official clothes on. And I got down with the chair. I went down with a model up just in front of the thing. I got down on the floor on my hands and knees, put my head on that sort of one hand. I said, yeah, I think there's two screws in there. And I sat in my chair. And I was all and then it just broke it all up. So it's like I countered the thrust, and it sort of lined up the whole courtroom. And a little while later, the judge turned to me and kind of turned the lawyer off, said, enough of those questions. He turned to me and said, Mr. Caldwell, you're wrong words.
So Richard turned the situation around right then. He just flipped it around. Everybody's going, oh, Mr. Caldwell, he's really Okay, so he got kid rapport, that's very good. So what about something else in the courtroom, like without saying anything at all, how could you influence things?
Just, sitting back like this maybe, and, a tense moment or something, and you can just
Yes.
make a big
Okay, that's the example. Well, something even more like powerful, like really something that's going to affect the decision. Yes, okay. If there was something that was really aversive, every time that was aversive, you could do something that really would mark out that aversion, so that you could get some kind of an anchor, for something that was really aversive or move a certain way. And then whenever you would move that way after a while, it's possible that people would have this feeling of this aversion.
You also should have an anchor for pleasantries and an anchor for aversion.
Yes.
Every time things are going the way you really want them to, there's something there's mark it out in some way.
You want to do it discreetly, because if you were acting, the main thing is you could clear your throat. Every time the judge makes a favorable decision, you could go. And then when it would come time, especially if you pace the person, because this is the way this works, if you pace and pace and pace, then you can lead. So you've paced the whole time, and then finally it comes time for the judge, Okay, so the way this works is that it has to be, you have to pace the person. Yes, let's say the judge or somebody else that's, important and they're deciding about things themselves. Then you would want to be sure that you pace this person. In other words, that whenever they would make a favourable decision, or you could say they were pleasant, you could clear your throat just a little bit or something, okay? No, that.
Spicy. I'm gonna put less brine in the next one. More hot water. Sheesh.
That person, because then that has got this feeling of affinity with you, but rather than you being the enemy or something like that. Okay, so there's a company settlement coming up. You're going to be in courtroom.
Rabbit.
Okay. Yes.
This attorney's going to cross-examine Alex
Alex and okay. So then Alex would be important that you are.
The color's got to flow. That's why I'm weird.
Moving a little, that you also move a little bit, and that you are
Blue?
Maybe not so much, but that would be obvious, possibly. But certainly, he had a can of Coke, and he was drinking that right now. In the recession, right, you might go and get a can of Coke and just be sitting there, but make sure that it's kind of just like, in the corner of his eye that he sees this. But the main thing is that actually that you can build a rapport with the person, that you'll just feel a little bit more like a brother, that you were like a brother rather than like you're the enemy, actually. Yes, I know. However, there's degrees of this, right? Because somebody can all of a sudden think, oh gee, this person's not so bad after all at all.
So David, what you're saying is if the person is moving, like if he tends to be a person is doing this, you wouldn't necessarily mirror that, but you have like a rhythm, or you match something.
Yes, okay, so, you could cross over. You might not mirror exactly like that, right? But if that was like that, you might go like that just a little bit. Or if that was like that, you might just like that just a little bit. Or if that was happening up here, and your foot was down here, you might just go, I mean, it's close, very close actually. The main thing is that when you are doing this well, we are not noticing that, that I'm doing this.
Kitchen movement, like if they start out and say, stood up and you kind of say, yes, would that be kind of like, would you want to match kitchen rhythm like that?
Maybe, you might want to do something subtle with that, but you wouldn't want to make it as obvious. That would be too blatant.
What would matching auditory then? What would be the volume or the rhythm?
The volume, the rhythm that the person is speaking at, the pitch, the intonation, the volume of shifts, how many times they have volumes of shifts in their voice, the space that's in between, the way, in fact, that they gesture. So for instance, this is another.
More towels.
If, let's say, the person who's cross-examining you, when they say, and they say, Alex, and what do you think about this, or whatever, and this, well then, you would be sure that you also pace that. And you did it subtly, you lifted your eyebrows up, and you pace that movement of the face. Or if the person licked their lips, and they say, and what about this? And then you might go, and then you say whatever it is, okay? Alright. The main thing is you will really be much more rapport with this person. This is called pacing. Okay, this is about rapport. We've done a session on rapport. We've done a little. Okay, so it's a good idea, Alex, to go over that, and all of us, to go over those things that are on rapport. Okay, the different ways of what does rapport mean? What does rapport mean? What does rapport mean? When do you know you have rapport?
When they mirror you.
Yes, come to the feeling. Yes, a meeting of the minds. How do you know that? Yes, you're in sync. How do you know that?
When you lead and they mirror.
Yes, you'll have a feeling inside. Alright, look, those of you who truly are interested in using this professionally, then the way that you will know that you have rapport, right, is after you've paced this person for some time, then you lead, and you see if now your lead is being followed. Then you know you have rapport. That's the sign, in fact, that you have rapport. So if you were over the table at the desk, right, going over something, okay, and you really have been pacing this person, and then all of a sudden you lean back from the table, and then to see what you have rapport with the person, does this other person also kind of lean back a little bit from the table to get a larger view of things. If that's the case, then you have rapport. Okay? So the way that you have rapport is to when you lead and you notice that the other person follows, that's when you know you have rapport. Okay? Alright. Yeah. Then I think it'll take a little bit
Okay.
I had a contact 2 weeks ago, and this is a total stranger. And from what I'm talking about now, I had a chance to really experiment play with it. I kind of deep into it. And he didn't know this gentleman. He's an older Italian, built a brand new Joseph Martin. Now, usually, like I said, I'm usually visual, I'm faster, and all that. And I was
Yep.
You always want to look at all the different product lines manufacturers. And this was cold, almost cold dog. And he needed systems. So we sat back and we spent about 2 hours together. And after the first 45 minutes, I got up and leaned forward from the chair. He took his feet off the desk and leaned forward in his chair. Later, I crossed my legs. He crossed his legs. Now here we go against the going. I'm going really slow. I'm slow. I'm smiling. He's smiling back at me. At the end of the whole 7 hours, I had an order. Right thing. No more thinking about it. Had an invitation to this fishing camp. Let's go fish, but since the man knew me crazy, he beat me on a beaver. This is deep. Maybe.
loopy in bed, being sweet and everything. And I would do, like, if I was in like this position or something, talking to Johnny, maybe he was like this, and all of a sudden I'd see kind of the digital processing. He'd look at me and go, and he just like get back there, and if I would do anything, then I think,
Yeah. Pillow.
that's nice. He's really matching what I'm doing. He did a report. Even though I was totally conscious of it, when I realized he was synchronizing himself to me, it was a great.
If you didn't have any idea what this person said, right? We didn't have a clue what they said, and we saw them doing this, right? All you would really need to do is to say something like that back to the person, and you've got rapport with them for sure. Alright, let's take a 10 minute
The second exercise where you incorporate functioning and understanding that the client is some sort of change. I had a lady come almost right after I got back.
Actually, you should explain what you do so everybody's fresh with knowing what Ned does.
I work with people's health. I use acupuncture, massage, sometimes herbs, food, exercise, and language with my clients.
Ned is a Chinese doctor or an acupuncturist, basically.
That's what I have. That's what people come to me for originally. And she has scoliosis, and she's concerned about that. And she also has a loop happening within her framework of dealing with men. And she has a man friend who has been following a pattern of her relationships, which is a man who's abusive, goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back. And she had just made a decision where she thought maybe she wanted to break off with this man. Because she had developed a dream where he would be a part of her life full time. He's a dance-away lover. So it's not part of his dream. And she made a decision where she decided she probably wanted to let go of him. The root was that she was obsessing on thinking about him. And she couldn't literally get him out of her mind. So I was talking to her and working with her body, and she's a very conscious person. So in doing body work with her, I left all her clothes on and worked with her breath and with her ribs, opening up and creating space. And basically we focused on her breath. At first, asking her to breathe on purpose, to get a sense of where the breath came to and was allowed to go no further. So, I like that at first because when you work with the rib cage, the breath immediately starts becoming more expanded. And there's a sense of expansion within it, and a sense of lightness. So I work with the rib cage.
Head harness for my neck.
I would take a deep breath, and then she would follow with a deep breath. Well,
Rubber band
that's all we did. And we talked
for the neck.
for an hour and a half, and I just worked with the rib cage. And what I was working with, one of the
Another band for the neck.
get was to
For the turning.
allow us to come and go as the breath comes and goes. So
You got the different directions and then the twisting.
15 days later, and
We got ankle strap.
I don't know what happened. It was just amazing. She said it was already 12:30 in the next.
We'll just bring one ankle strap.
I said, oh great. How did that feel? She
Jump
goes,
rope.
well, I almost felt guilty because she was used to constantly thinking.
This will be
I said, well, what's happening right now? She was lying back and obsessing on him again. Like really hanging on to this stuff. I said, well, how long did it last? She goes, actually, it was 10 days. I was free in my body. I was walking and breathing and feeling really
Whoops.
excellent. He got in touch with her again, and she had started obsessing again. So when she came back, I just asked her what it was she thought that allowed her
flow about the thought of her lover with her breath, so that as she would breathe in, she would breathe out, thoughts would come, thoughts would go. And so literally, Ned wired like what we call a lever, use a lever, something that's already occurring, something that naturally is occurring, and then attached something else to this thing that's naturally occurring, that which is the breath in this moment. And the other thing was that Ned did was he asked her what it was that caused her to not get what it is that she wants. In the way that you framed the question to her, she was focused on what it was that she needed to do, in fact, to move beyond where she was. There was something else that you did too, to create whole brain functioning. But anyway, is there anything else?
One of the things that I do with every client is I ask them, because they spend anywhere from 1 minute to 20 minutes talking about their condition or their problems. And then I switch it into, okay, now, I understand that, and I can empathize with that. And what is it that you really want? And what she wanted was the ability to release it. And she also wants the scoliosis to go away, and she also wants to just have an easy life, basically, is what it boils down to. So once she had that in mind, that was a goal of an ease of life, and I try to anchor it with the ease of breath. And breath, to me, is the key for her. Since her ribcage is what she really wants to change anyway, the easiest way to change ribcage, in my experience, is to start breathing.
Okay, so it's possible that the way
Functional
that she
patterns.
was breathing was creating the scoliosis, actually, because of whatever it was that she was protecting in herself as a result of her situation.
Right. And physically what had happened was the left side had caved in, the right side had expanded. So the left side, the heart, was being held back.
Yes.
And she had created this pattern.
So the arm was being held back from holding away.
Yeah.
And so this was happening in a physical self. Yeah.
And so I answered that too. This is interesting, but over here the spirals are really high, and they seem to move a little bit easier. The others are a little more compressed, and what's the feeling with that? I protected myself. And she was really in touch in some way with her process. And she was also in touch with
Yo.
how to change that process.
Oh, knee pads.
And the metaphor that I used with her was to allow these roots over here to start flowing and moving with the breath, and actually put her hands there and just sense it.
Okay. So the other thing was Ned moved directly into what it was that his client wanted, to find out what it was that she wanted. She said ease of life, and more or less this is ease of.
Should I bring this?
There's unspecified verb.
I don't think so.
And normalization. And what this came to was actually the breath. So you would say, what specifically is it about the ease of life? Yeah, you know, if you're understanding what this is, that's the breath, and you're going directly to the breath. Okay. Has she moved through some things as a result of you working with her body and also working with her mind?
So the feedback was that she was really surprised that she was able to change literally the next day. Things had changed on at least a beginning level, where it lasted for 10 days. That's a long time for someone who's been obsessing most of their life. Actually, there were 10 days without that sense of oppression and being caught. And I use the term loop with her. Because I see that it's a loop. We just get into this loop, and how can we alter the loop? And I said to her, what have you been doing? She goes, I've been trying not to think. I said, all right, I want you not to think of a pink elephant with blue cuts. And she goes, well, I think of it first when I think. I said, that's exactly it. I said, allow it to go through. I said, you're not going to, I said, I'm really trying to stop thinking of this man. He's been a part of your life.
Stop thinking of this man.
Did you do that on purpose? No. However, if you're about the thoughts that come to mind, I knew another story about Zen meditation. you close your eyes and kind of sit back a little bit like some people do. And then I want to highlight with just a little bit. They defocus. So that there's nothing out there that you actually are
Bathing
looking
suit?
at. You're looking at everything. And it's coming and going. And I emphasize that several times, this concept of coming and going. Hopefully, essentially...
One training outfit.
Breathing pattern.
For martial
Everything
arts.
that changed for her in relationship to, it's cool in Minnesota right now, has been for a couple of weeks. And she was actually warmer than she had been before. She had a really nice glow on her face.
One outfit for
She
physical
was,
training.
Obviously puzzled that she had achieved some of this goal without understanding how it had come about. And so when I talked to her again, I worked with the idea that it came about because of this. And it was something that you allowed to go. And she got it, grasped it.
And one thing that Ned said was that what I did with her was to have her realize that what it was that she was not and then thinking about was in fact she was thinking about it. This not truly didn't exist in her primary experience. So it led her more to a sense of whole brain functioning about this. What is it that's resourceful about the way that you could think about this, which would lead you to feel a great sense of ease? Okay. Nice use of language and use of metaphor to move the person through something. Excellent. Okay. Right, who else would like to present something here?
I thought it was sort of how it something happened previously that
Let's see if there's a way for us to keep it as much as we can to the answering like the question. So which question is this to do with? Okay.
This with question number one regarding the using the whole brain when you're writing. This is all alcohol and with the humorous. And you wrote this article about keeping a secret. And it's easy to keep a secret. Of course, it's not easy to keep a secret. And he goes through the scenario about how people don't keep secrets.
Okay, so far it's positive. He says it's easy to keep a secret, and ease is about something that's positive. Okay, so.
And he goes on to say, I'm a person who keeps a secret, but you want to tell some person who's very close to you, who you're not supposed to keep secrets from. And this person is close to somebody else who can't keep secrets from somebody else, so they pass it on. And he takes it from a satirical point where people don't keep secrets. And it keeps it always on a positive level the whole way through. Now they get into being negative. And even though you give up the secret, you give it up in a positive way.
Okay.
And really, it's ludicrous to keep the secret.
Chef outfit, including
Okay, so actually,
apron.
the whole brain functioning, it was written resourcefully, and the words that we used was not so much negation, and if there was negation, it was there was something that we could agree with. So
My apron.
It was a whole brain functioning article.
And he operated on the theory that in order to maintain the interest, it has to be pleasure. To go over pleasurable as well as healthy interest.
Okay. Just for Elsa's benefit, when there's interest there, it creates whole brain functioning. Without interest, the person's not exiting into the front of the cortex. Mostly they're relying on past learned rote, short sequence things. And what Alex did over the last few weeks was pick up this article and look to see, in fact, how the journalist had written the article. Had the journalist written the article from a whole brain functioning approach, or had the journalist written it from limited brain function, speaking about what the problem is, what the limitation is, what the person doesn't want, what they want to get rid of, what's not working, what the stuck state is, as opposed to what it is that we want, and what the resources are that we have.
And there's another article right in the middle that says Nixon's body is 76, Nixon's mind is 3. He's portraying Nixon as a hammering person. I didn't read all the details, that's basically what the headlines.
Okay, so basically the article says limited brain function. It's about limited brain function. Okay.
Alright, outfit number one, or number two, whatever.
He is among
2 hoodies. Alright.
Okay, so Alex went directly and did some movements involving the analog of his niece, and literally what was occurring here truly was happening in the brain as well. Mostly it's possible that as she was learning before, and there was some awkwardness, there may not have been ability for crossing over from one hemisphere to the other. And so literally going into an analog movement of the analog, using analog or movement to affect the change really was a powerful thing for her. And giving her some self-affirmations inside her. She's a smart little girl, and she's a quick learner, and she loves to read, and you love her. There were all the affirmations about herself. It's interesting, a friend of ours, his son wasn't doing very well at school, and so we gave him some subliminal tapes, and it was just wasn't audible at all what the subliminal messages were that was underneath everything. Within a week, Joshua, this kid's name is Joshua, was coming up, and he was going, I'm a quick reader, I'm a quick study, these were all the things that were just...
Before even like a quick study, that's kind of sophisticated.
So he has done well since then. Before this time, he was thinking, I wonder whether I can read it at all. Whatever the affirmation was, it was negative. Okay. All right.
One of the things, I don't know if you were aware of what you were doing, but with dyslexic children, they oftentimes take them back so much in the columns. I didn't realize the purpose of it. I knew that they were doing it, but I didn't realize that the
patterns in the brain, yeah.
I have a friend of mine who teaches third grade. I gave her a book called Education Kids. With the brain. She said, I can't use that in my class. And about 2 weeks later, the daddy had a stroke. And he's having trouble with one college, the right left side of the wall. And they were doing the same thing to him to re-educate his brain, the crossover exercises and make him crawl again and all that. She said, they've done exactly the same thing that your book said. And I said, this next kid works on his dad, and he works on his kids in class.
Yes, right. So everybody's understanding this, right? I had a friend who was about 24.
Alright, with the bathing suit, should I go t-shirt?
It's like a short circuit.
One.
Whenever you were going to do math and stuff like that, there would be a short circuit that would occur in his brain.
T-shirt 1
She was unable to add things up.
or a shirt?
Anyway, so he's about 24, and we asked him to crawl on the floor, and he crawled.
You got this bathing suit.
For about maybe a couple of weeks, we had him crawling like this, which is active crossing over. And so literally the crossing over pattern started to create neural pathways of crossing over in the brain, which is important, for him to do this in the brain actually.
T-shirt 1.
And this has fixed that up.
If you find a crawl, you go to walk out in the child crawl, you progress up the same point.
Hayabusa bathing suit. T-shirt 1, T-shirt 2, or bathing, or a T-shirt, or a shirt.
They may not be actually crossing the midline of their body.
I think I'm gonna go with T-shirt 2.
These movements are, enhancing and like washing the brain. Okay.
You cut the sleeves off.
Ginger, did you want to go? Do you have an ad or something?
I do want to do it later.
Okay. Right, who would I go now? Richard?
safe, very calm waters back there, and next door to her place was a property with developers and townhouse condominiums, and the developers want to build a pier out of this sort of pristine bay, and she wanted the bay to remain as it is, and so she asked me if I would write a letter to this person who is the regulator who would make the decision, and I said, sure, I'll do it. So this was right after the weekend, so I looked at it as an opportunity to use what I learned about whole brain function, and it took me probably 2 hours to write the letter, because I wrote sentences and we started, and she said that some of the bases for making a decision was it going to create any sort of pollution or hazard, and was it environmentally sound in that instance, or that context, pollution and hazard. So what I did, I approached it by wanting to access this fellow's, I didn't know whether he was kinetic, visual, auditory, and so I used, and even olfactory, and I used all these predicates throughout the letter because I didn't know what he was, so I figured I'd catch him somewhere. And I just described the day, and how I'd been there, and how calm it was, and that I'd seen families in the water enjoying themselves in the safety of the bay. In other words, there's no hazard, it was calm and peaceful, and the water was clean, and the fresh breeze was blowing, and the smell of salt air, and the birds were flying, and then I said, and the developers who wish to build a pier there obviously are wanting to enhance their property and make the property more valuable and more appealing to the people who will be utilizing it, and I said that perhaps as a way that they can do that and maintain the integrity and the calmness and the pristine, clean quality of the bay, and satisfy their outcome. And I said I trusted them to make the decision that will serve everyone. And sent it off, and I sent a copy of the lady. Asked me to do the letter. Over the irony, I did get a letter back from the regulator acknowledging it, and said, we received your letter of objection, which, because that was it for the form letter, they had no other way to acknowledge it. So that was interesting. And the other, the same lady called me back a few days later. She was going to ride this long bike ride in this procure, and she had fallen off the bike and hurt her foot. Her foot was not on the heel enough.
Alright, now I gotta find my
She called me
knee sleeves.
Whether she should go to see a doctor first, a specialist, or whether she should go to a chiropractor. And she wanted me to tell her what I think she ought to do first. And what I did was ask her a whole series of questions like, what would happen if you went to the chiropractor first? And she listed all of her considerations about that and possible outcomes are in the world. And I said, what would happen if you went to the doctor? And I just asked her a series of questions, and by the time the phone conversation in her tone had changed, and she had made the choice to go see the chiropractor first. And later, I saw her, she made the bike ride up to the heel, and she thanked me for helping her out there. She said, you never did tell me what to do.
But actually, it's very interesting because usually whatever comes out first always is priority. Whatever it is that comes out first is alerting us to a priority of things, because always the unconscious mind brings always out what it is that's primary first. And so actually, I heard Richard say something like, well, I wonder if you should go to the chiropractor first, and then maybe consider, and then ask her this question. Actually, you've asked her a question, but you made a statement, I think you should go to the chiropractor first.
Maybe in here?
What would happen if I think that you should go to the chiropractor first? I mean,
Let's see.
so you're embedding a command actually to go to the chiropractor first, but you're
Oh, wait a second.
question, which is really allowing the person a way to hear it, because the person's thinking that, having choice, which they do, yet you're really embedding a command somewhat for her to go to the chiropractor first.
Well, for multiple choice tests, they say that if you don't know you're not sure you know the answer, you read the question, and the first one that sort of comes to mind, you don't know the answer, go ahead and go to the first one, is usually subconscious.
Got a bunch of knee pads somewhere. Knee sleeves. It's got to be in there.
However, in the facilitation, we are in need of being careful that we are leading actually. We usually are leading when we ask questions, so that you are developing some expertise in your ability, not so much to lead when you ask a question, but to allow this information to come from the person. But you are leading and you are understanding that you are leading when you ask a question actually.
She may have led first by saying, which do you think I should go to, the chiropractor or the...
Then that would be a flag to me.
I was pretty clear that what she wanted to do was go to the chiropractor first. I mean, it was pretty obvious just from what she was saying, her tone of voice and all that. And I went about to, I didn't feel like that it was my job to encourage her.
Well, a lot of it had done just as well. You just said, yeah, go to the chiropractor. I think so too. Is that your motivation? Is one adding the other?
She was using which was the sounding board, kind of. Yeah, he just kind of reflected.
Well, the one thing is that the decision to go to the chiropractor is something that she's decided. It's possible that she has an external reference. The doctor told me that I am, or someone's mother said that I am, rather than I feel that I am this way. So anyway, I think it's a good idea for us to somewhat allow the person to come to the decision themselves. If there's a way for that to occur, then, to have an external reference. To be an external reference.
Here we go. Practicing formlessness. I wanted to really, like we were talking about editing the words, I wanted to really see what it was like to be formless.
Okay, that's excellent. Yes.
Knee pad?
Yes. So I wasn't really so much interested in efficiency as it was in, having experiences.
To me, that was really excellent communication between both your subconscious.
What was specifically just then?
Well, not just the...
Oh, okay.
When you said that you wanted to be formless, okay, so your intent was not that she go to the chiropractor or go to the doctor. Your intent was to reflect back to her. And what I saw and heard was that she's asking permission to do something a little bit, maybe in her circle, a little bit unusual with a chiropractor. Or her gut reaction is, that's what I want to do. Her subconscious is somehow guiding her that way.
Got him.
And then your subconscious, in formlessness, by looking at that, I wonder what would happen if you went first.
Most of these are for Thomas.
That was a communication between both those subconscious that, yes, indeed, this is a proper decision.
A couple are for me too.
Not because your intent was that she go to the chiropractor. So now, in that way, you were formless, and at the same time, there was this unconscious communication between these two beings.
Okay. There's a wonderful thing to sense this formlessness, because you really will develop quite a degree of power in yourself if you develop this degree of formlessness. Okay. Alright, okay, so who's next? That was good, Richard. Excellent. Bringing in the understanding of formlessness, I think that's excellent. Okay. Who'd like to go next?
One of the things that I paid attention to a lot was the organ language. And
Was that part of your...
it was right down the next. That wasn't it.
No. Do something with the first three. questions.
Okay, we'll come back for you.
Okay.
I noticed this, it's a billboard, and I noticed it last time I was here too. It's been there for a little while. And it says in huge letters, it says, erase illiteracy. And it's kind of like, oh, you know, wow, that's really violating whole brain functioning. And then I noticed with great bliss this time when I drove by it, that somebody had totally written it down. The only thing that's left says read. Really small. Have you ever noticed this one? No, I didn't, but I was afraid somebody actually told me like that. The brain just went, and the only thing that's left is a real positive message. Read, which is maybe 50 times smaller than right to do with.
Okay. That's a good one.
Well, I came into a situation, moving all my things around, I went to get my wood stove that I had stored at a house that I had lived in for a little bit.
I got a checklist here.
And I was thinking, $50 or something like that is what I was thinking. And he was saying, oh yeah, I wish you had told me, and kind of a whiny voice, and man, a whiny voice. And it was all over the phone. And so again, I said, well, Don, I'm sure there's some way that this can work out. I feel I need some kind of reimbursement since I was going to get money for this. And he said, well, I suppose I could send you $50. That would help out. And so I went ahead and went along with that deal. And it seemed that on the phone there, I was really, pacing the conversation and noticing his tone, and giving him a chance to make a decision, to help remedy the situation.
Okay, actually, Allie did two things underneath everything. She made she gave an embedded command. We can work this out. I heard that. And she said, well, I wonder if there's a possibility that we can work this out.
I gotta go to the gym at 9.
Was there the message? And then and she slipped in reimbursement.
Billie Eilish.
So then finally, she came around to reimbursement. Actually, it already had been fitted in there.
And when he first told me that he gave it away, and I was shocked, but I didn't flap the handle with it or anything. I said, oh no, you're kidding, making it.
Okay, so maybe the line of it, kidding, a joke a little bit, kind of lighten it up a little.
Yeah, to let it be a situation that can be.
Guitar, laptop, phone, sleeping bag,
this happened.
medical stuff, books.
Okay, excellent. We can work this out. That's really good.
Clothes,
okay.
bathroom stuff, and weightlifting.
There's a sign in Texas that says, don't mess with Texas. $10 to $1,000 fine for littering. So it's like, well, sure, let me get a fine. It's fine. I was thinking, in Washington they have signs that say, keep Washington clean.
Oh, wonderful.
And they've got a nice line on Washington and a little picture of the trash can.
Excellent. And it's leaving people resourceful. Yeah. It's about the act of cleanliness rather than mess. Yeah. Don't you mess this up.
Right.
Okay.
And that's what Texas also brings up for me, brawl in the bottom.
Yes, right.
Say 10,000 farts?
Keep Texas clean.
Okay, that's a good one. Okay. Who's next?
Well, I'll go now. This fits into so many of them, trance state to the whole talking or doing something, and maybe they are feeling a little bit wavy or unsure of their footing, like I'll see if that's starting, and I'll say, feel your balance. And that's like a spontaneous trance state, because they hear that word and they kind of go, oh, feel my balance. And then they take a few more steps. And then maybe their own internal dialogue or, their pattern or something will start up. And then I'll go, oh, feel your balance. That's good, Jane. Feel your balance. Oh. It's like they get right into that. And there was a couple of times in class with people in yoga class where we'd be doing a posture and somebody might say, oh, I can't do this, my arms are weak. Or, I don't feel like my back's weak. So the next time, like, that person is, exerting, like stretching their arms out or something, I'll say, feel the strength in your arms now. And I'll see them, like, instead of kind of, like, all of a sudden, So that's whole brain functioning and spontaneous trance states.
Okay. So it's something that you could do. The one, it's the first or the second or the third exercise there. That's something that Jenny could have done, like if she's seeing somebody who's up there on the ropes course, okay, just as an example of something in life. This person's up on the ropes course and they're finding it difficult. You can see that they're a little bit out of balance and they're stopped. Now, what could you do to move this person?
Can I ask them to see the outcome?
You can use a conjunction of time. As you feel your balance, you will be able to take a step.
Well, these people that I'm referring to, they weren't stopped. They were moving, but they were like shaky with their movement.
As you feel your balance, you'll be able to continue to.
Yeah, continue moving. Like if the person was like stalling, okay, then you could say, as you feel your balance, continue moving along the wire. Anyway, the conjunction, the way that you join things together, is good. To join things together and to add something on that the person's naturally going to be doing actually is good to do that.
I think that I actually do say, as you take your next step, you feel your balance.
Okay, so your kid's just about to go outside, okay, and there's something on the floor, and you might say, and as you get up to go outside, because you know the child's going to be going outside, pick up your stuff. Okay, so it's pasted to something that the child's already going to be doing. And so it's more likely that the two will be joined, actually, rather than saying, pick up your stuff.
So why is that doesn't sound like a command?
More salt.
If you say pick up your stuff,
Yes.
I think, I'm like most people, I have a contrary reaction to a
Yes.
command. But if you state it in a...
Yes, exactly.
If we state it into an as already, it's just kind of a little feedback with
Pace.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, yes, it allows the listener choice, and it allows the listener not to hear the embedded command, pick your stuff up. Right?
As we wait,
That's good enough to do with kids. We're doing this actually.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
As something's occurring to you, as you're in the salon, something's happening to your body, as this is happening, while this is happening, we can feel something else.
Walk away from your right?
You can feel great about yourself.
You can feel great about yourself. It is like the person's not feeling great about themselves. That wouldn't work. The person would be reminded of not feeling great about themselves, and they don't recognize this. Okay, as you're sitting down. Yeah, so let's say the person was having to wait for a hair wash or something like that. You could say, as we're waiting for the washing, maybe you'd like to sit down and read something for a little while or something like that. Or sit down and relax and enjoy the moment. Okay. who?
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's along the lines of what y'all were saying about the positive. That's what I've been working on. I work with women children. With women and their shoulder bags and abused women. Anyway, what I've been working on with them is teaching them how to phrase things positively. And so when I hear them working with their kids,
Gloves?
what they're telling them not to do. Like, we talk about what you would rather hear. Instead of saying, shut up, what would you rather hear? So we're working on it slowly.
Oh, okay, excellent.
Should I bring this what is this, a poncho? Waterproof poncho. Should I bring it? In case I get stuck in the rain?
Okay, it's a good idea to link that in when you can to the people that are there so they understand, oh, you mean, if I say,
It's my Boy Scout poncho.
I'm actually
Boy Scout motto, be prepared.
my children, you will say yes.
What do you think?
To some degree, you are doing that. And what would be, so you know, what would be that you
Poncho or no poncho?
say something in a way that the child is understanding and that you are leaving the child with whole brain functioning. You might say, now a little quiet for a moment, so mum can talk about this or whatever. So mum can talk about this or something, you know, which is an affirmation of what we want. Okay, so it'd be good to fit that in, what creates whole brain functioning, and you can say simply, you know, interest is in need of being there before we're exiting into the front of the brain to plan and sequence things. Okay. What about anything else that you've been doing? Give any other example of someone that you work with to create whole brain functioning?
Fitness ball. Ooh.
Okay. Excellent. You are like
Oh man, so much stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Have you seen any ads lately that find out whole brain functioning? Okay, the one thing that does find whole brain functioning a little bit is the Battered Women's, like, what is it, the Battered Women's Association or something? Actually, if there's a way, I don't know whether you can do this, maybe there is something, in fact, which is not quite about being battered, but actually about being in transition. Or something anyway, that might be something that you can do. Women in transition was, I like that one a little better than women in empowering or something else. But women in transition, but there's probably something there. Okay. All right, who would like to go now? Yeah, right.
Headphones.
Do you feel the need to talk? Sometimes we all do, but we all have different. But we all are different and have different needs. That's why.
Oh shit! This is why you don't put food on your desk.
Talking about the problem works. We can help you net out the answer at the network.
Okay. Right, and that takes it, because actually what's happened there is, even though you mentioned problem, right, there possibly is a way of stating something in the positive, and sometimes the person totally is problematically orientated, and we can paste that person by using that word problem. You can use any word. Once you're having this understanding of what creates whole brain functioning, that's the main thing, that's all. And that we have the ability to use the words and the habits that are out there to facilitate whole brain functioning to occur. The one thing about this is it's about difference, isn't it? About differences, actually, rather than the possibility of the similarities, what it is that we like, what it is that we have in common.
I don't know, probably why they do it, doesn't make whole brain thing. But to connect a need in the customer. So the customer didn't feel like he had a problem with that. But maybe that's not the way to do it.
So anyway, I think to bring more language and whole into something, and that which is what you've done. Yeah. Okay. Do you have another one there?
The other one's it's not a metric art.
Okay. Was that an rapport theory? Did you go through and look at positive and negative? Do you want to do that one?
Okay. Want to read the art?
Yeah.
That's the hours of other members of the board region are blocking at implementing the Taylor plan, which provides free college tuition at state universities to meet students who qualify. The board wants the money to fund the program up front and are threatening to ask the Taylor plan or Governor Romer's strenuous objections. The board should be bending over backwards to get the program off the ground. Instead, the Taylor plan seems to be less important than a number of football fields. Regions are given every season. So, it's just sort of a little thing.
Yeah.
The Taylor plan is one which provides money to give free college tuition at the state universities to meet students who qualify. Yes, the Dallas and Board of Regents are bolting at implementing the plan, are requiring the money to fund the program to be put up now. Having the board support the program with as much enthusiasm as receiving football tickets will speed up implementing the Taylor plan.
That's excellent. That's very good. Okay. That's very good. Yes. That's excellent.
Yeah, good connection to football team.
Well, I really felt the difference. I really sensed that, there was something that was much more about flow in yours. And the other one was really chopped up and there was a version of angst and...
The person that wrote the article read that, how we trying to swing it,
He was just complaining. He wasn't trying to have an outcome.
and what you did was turn into good results.
Very good. That was excellent. Okay. Well, who else?
One thing is, over here on Highway 12, you probably seen it in this area, there's a billboard that says, "Stand rules for Jesus Christ is Savior." And I see that, I cringe. I want to be away from the sign, away from the people that put the sign, right where that is. And on the flip side of that, and I'm thinking sin, it's just a strange spot. And then on the other side, it has the AIDS plague as a plan. I really want to go around.
Spicy.
Religion or what the next one, I assume you're trying to get across is Jesus will save you from the plague and
Spicy. It's got a habanero powder.
But sin will prevail in that message, okay? That's totally backwards.
So what could you say?
You might focus on peace of the Lord.
Yes, you could say love wins out. That could be positive affirmation. That people could be driving past and see this positive affirmation and then have, like if it was Christian Jesus saves or something like that. And have a positive affirmation there rather than,
Attract you to the concept. The second thing, the way that I've been using glory functioning is with my child. And I try to, for Jimmy's comedians and other things, you're brilliant instead of that's brilliant. So I've been using that. And I noticed that I'm trying to work on not saying don't do that or don't do that. That's get away from that. I try to steer her in a direction. Let's come over here, or this is for you to play with. And it's been working.
Kennedy for president.
This is something I could use some. But yesterday, we had a major fit.
Should actually
And half an hour, 45 minutes. And in
cut
the
these.
saying, I am going to do something to cry about.
Kennedy 24, we're going to cut that. I mean, we're going to throw that out.
And I hate to just go beat the hell out of her.
blew it, RFK.
Okay. Yeah, I think, whenever a kid's really falling and really just throwing a tantrum or something like that,
What's the pale white horse for?
That has led to this. And you want to know something? If you and I thought about things in the same way as is it a sheep? What's her name?
That was from a calendar.
If you and I had thought about things in the way Leanna was thinking about
And,
it, we also kind of would be throwing a tantrum probably. So actually something happened the other day. Someone on Bree was going to go over and see their friend, this young Tom. We were unable to get over there. It meant 2-hour drive, and it was getting dark. And so we were unable to go over there. And anyway, so...
To me, the horse represents
he really was upset
forward momentum.
that he wasn't able to go.
Or,
He was throwing a little bit of a tantrum. And his parents were kind of trying to...
Like running towards goals.
And I just said, oh dear son. I said, that's a shame, Mother. I'm not able to see your friend. I know you really wanted to see your friend today.
Some of these things, they just happen.
He was listening to me.
Because
I was thinking about what it was he was
I like pictures, so I saved them. Not all of them, but I saved pictures. And that just kind of like, I was throwing out the calendar because it was for 2024. And I was seeing these beautiful pictures of horses. So I was like, oh. I ended up keeping that one.
About half an hour, it's going to be dark. So I explained it to him, exactly what it was that was there. So it's a good idea for us, as much as we can pace what it is that's...
Where should I cut this? See, I like the eagle there.
Yeah.
So maybe I could do K Jr. for president. Or Eagle Jr. for president.
The kid wanted her way, and she was very strong and well taught. And I heard what upset me about the situation, because I just ignored her the first 30 minutes, just one of those horses screaming. I was like, go ahead, you know.
I think of horses as ancient. I think of the past.
If you ignore what it is that's happening...
Are they?
That's
Wow.
communicating with her. We're in need of recognizing that she's upset.
How ancient are we talking here?
Oh, Granny gives you everything, doesn't she? You know, you really love her the way she gives you everything, or whatever it is, because you're amazing what it is that's there.
Like Neanderthals? 30,000 years? Domesticated? Let's see. I'll ask.
But you see, I know, yes,
When were horses domesticated?
Sometimes she has to go along with the program, and she's not learning that. And I don't know how to teach her that, but I can't keep, like I told the girl at the checkout, she said, wow.
Well, this is a wild horse.
You know, she's screaming, she wants to be out, I can't hold her.
4000 BC.
And I said, I'm sorry.
Wow.
She has to learn this lesson while y'all here, but I don't know what else to do. And I'm not going to say to her, okay, we're just going to be here for a minute. And, you know, it's all I can practice.
It's not that long ago.
45 minutes of total hysteria. Now we're up to, you know.
Let's see.
You know, it's ridiculous. I'm not wondering whether I should do it on the floor.
When?
I need it in a positive way.
How
I've been able to do
old
better on
are
things that aren't volatile.
horses?
It's been very easy.
Genetically.
I think all parents understand that sometimes kids are absolutely going to jump and scream and yell and kick and just do all kinds of things, and that we're in need of supporting the child. And that this relationship truly is something that needs to be developed, and not any one thing that could be implemented like that. Sometimes the kid is going
4 to 4.5 million years.
Yell for a while and throw a tantrum, and we're in need of supporting this somewhat. The child is learning that this is not leading, anywhere so much, that there's another way of going about things, and that
All right.
the best thing
So,
truly is to think of our own experience.
Yeah.
If you really are upset about something, the best way
These
that
work
I
boots.
can be
The only boots I got.
truly is to understand.
The sneakers I have are canvas. They're cold. The only thing about the work boots is they got the narrow toe, so I don't really want to be walking around a lot. It pushes my toenail on my big toe, and it hurts.
But
That's all I got. What happened here?
I got in the car and I said to her when I got in the car, we cannot tolerate this kind of behavior in the store. Now we're going to the grocery, this kid does, she
Oh, that opens. All
doesn't
right.
have language to understand, but I try to tell her we're going to the
T-Rex.
grocery store and we're going to act like the good baby.
What's over here?
And going to cooperate. And I kept trying to talk to her in that positive way. And we went to the store and it was fine. But it frightened me that I wasn't able to cope. Next time I will try to, what do you?
Oh shoot, there was another one.
Actually, if you are knowing what it is that she's upset about, if you are knowing what it is, if you can find out what it is that she's upset about, you can say, oh, honey, what is it? What is it that you're upset about? What is it that you want? Oh, honey, what is it that you want? Oh, okay, she's very, she does understand everything that you say to her. Yeah. Okay, she just got something and then Alec.
We've been through, similar experiences, and I find that I need to remember that these babies don't have logic. So we can't use logic to convince them to conform to what we want. And I've decided that with Aaliyah, when she's in the struggle of making her needs known, that this is the most important thing right now, that she is asserting her power. And it usually comes at a time when we have our own plan and program and we're rushed a little bit and we're not paying attention. So they'll pick a time like that to take a stand.
Woo.
And I lost every time. Either I won the power struggle, and I thought, yeah, so I'm another there. Then I figured I still lost because my daughter learned that she doesn't have any power. And yes, we can't give in children all the time, but yes, but the main thing that she needs to be doing at this time is gaining power. And I'm trying to think of how to say this positively because it's a phrase I learned in a book that I had to remember all the time. An act of defiance is not disrespectful because they don't know respect. But we interpret it as disrespectful. And so then the power struggle sometimes ensues. So what I do is I do give her my undivided attention. I get down on her level.
Holy. Sleeping bag. Clothes. There's a backpack I gotta fill up.
Okay, there's something that's here that I think that's excellent too. I mean, not so much that there's a kind of a general rule, right? But that sometimes, of course, you are letting her know a little bit that kicking and screaming and throwing a tantrum is not something that that people enjoy. And so there is a tiny bit of this that is giving her the message that it's not such a social thing to be screaming and yelling and throwing a tantrum in the store. That's that there's no general rule. I think the one general rule that I could say truly is that we're in need of supporting, always, whatever it is that we do, that she's sensing that you support her.
Maybe you could just get on her level and say,
go to the gym.
You really need to scream now, rather than screaming loudly now, and just let her know, I'm totally here with you, you're really...
I'm gonna go to the gym because since I'm leaving tomorrow, and I told him I'd be back March 1st. Goes I don't know, clear some things up. But I don't want to leave the food out for the mice. So, some saran wrap. I know they'd probably eat the apple. I don't know about the mushroom. Probably not the green onion. But I will put it all together anyway. Also, can do something with this melon. Like here. Okay, I also want to put this away. Let's do like this. My hands are dirty. In the fridge. Okay. That's it. I'm gonna pack, but I gotta go to the gym first. Probably won't stream the packing, but definitely do something tomorrow. So stay tuned. Got a long list.